again. Welcome to the Thursday Talk series on socio-political and economic perspectives of the Capability Building on Innovative Leadership for Legislative Staff program. I am Nina Raffer from the Development Academy of the Philippines, and I am pleased to be your host for today's lecture, the third and final installment of your lecture series for the year. So to formally start our program, may we ask everyone to stand and pay courtesy to our flag with the singing of the national anthem. Okay, you may now take your seats. I hope everyone is excited about the final lecture of this year's CBILLS program, as we are about to discuss how we can navigate the changing media landscape in ensuring free and meaningful citizen participation. We are also delighted to have here the last lecture at the Recto and Laurel Rooms of the Senate of the Philippines. And now, before we proceed to the program, allow me to recognize some of our resource persons who are already here with us on stage. So first, we have Dr. Rachel Can, Professor of Journalism at the UP College of Mass Communication. Sitting beside her, we have Mr. Fred Cavan, Deputy Regional Head at the Philippine Information Agency in Calabarzon. We also have Ms. Bea Bautista, Communications Lead of Philippines and Malaysia of TikTok. We have Ms. Jennifer Aquino, Managing Director of Probe Productions, accompanied by one of their partner content creators, your Tita Baby, who's in front. And of course, Ms. Bernadine Mahinay, Senate Committee Secretary for Public Information and Mass Media. We would also like to recognize our CBILLS scholars from the Philippine Congress who are here with us at the Senate. Of course, we have the Appropriations and Finance Group, both the emerging leaders and the middle managers. We also have all the regular tracks, our emerging leaders, the middle managers there, and our senior leaders. Last but not the least, for those tuning in from the DAP official social media platforms, good morning, everyone. For today's lecture, we are happy that we are both live via the DAP YouTube channel and the DAP Facebook page. So please feel free to share this with your colleagues or networks so we may have vibrant discussion this morning. As early as now, you can send in your questions to our lineup of resource persons. To our CBILLS scholars who are here at the Senate, you may scan the QR code on your table. As for our live viewers from the Facebook and YouTube, please type your comments below the live stream so our social media team can consolidate this for our open forum segment. At this point, let me introduce today's moderator who will help us facilitate the lecture discussion. With 25 years of public service in the Senate, Our moderator currently serves as the Committee Secretary for Public Information and Mass Media. Concurrently, she holds the same position for various committees in the 19th Congress, namely the Committees on Tourism, Cultural Communities and Muslim Affairs, and the subcommittees of the Committees on Environment and Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Committee Secretary Bernadine Mahinay. Ma'am.
Thank you, Nina. Yung mga hecklers, ah. Hi, good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm very pleased to welcome you all into a discussion on a relevant and timely topic that resonates with many of the scholars present today. First, let us watch a short video for an overview of today's lecture.
Rapid developments in information technology widen opportunities for innovation. This allows for greater citizen participation in socio-political and economic discourse. In turn, public participation in democratic processes holds the ability to shape political outcomes.
However, with these opportunities come challenges: a widening digital divide, heightened cybersecurity concerns, and the deepening proliferation of propaganda and misleading information.
Although information is easily distorted by differing perspectives, we are confronted by the simple truth that participation in the policy process necessitates a well-informed citizenry.
Join us in the third and final lecture of the 2024 CBILLS Thursday Talk Series on July 18 at 9 o'clock a.m. as we navigate the media landscape to promote balanced and accurate information for meaningful and genuine citizen participation.
Okay, I hope that through that video, you had a fairly good idea of what we will discuss this morning. This final lecture of the Thursday Talks aims to explore how relevant stakeholders can navigate the new and changing media landscape to strike a balance between protecting the rights of people and enforcing regulations and mechanisms to ensure free and balanced information literacy. Specifically, at the end of the lecture, we hope that you, the CBILLS scholars and our DAP YouTube viewers, will be able to 1. Discuss the information and media landscape in the Philippines, 2. Describe how information and new media influence public participation and opinion on policy issues, and 3. Explore policy agenda to promote free and balanced information for more genuine citizens' participation in our digital age. Our discussion today will touch on multi-stakeholder programs and strategies being implemented across sectors, including the government, private sector, and the academe, to hone a well-informed and engaged citizenry in the current digital landscape. With that, we have with us distinguished resource persons to help us meet these lecture objectives. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker. She is a professor of journalism at the College of Mass Communication, University of the Philippines, Diliman. She is also an affiliate faculty member at the UP Open University, UPOU, and UP Diliman Extension Program in Pampanga and Olongapo, as well as being the co-founder of Check.ph, a fact-checking collaborative. She holds an MS in journalism with a new media concentration from Columbia University, New York, under the Fulbright program, and also a Doctor of Public Administration from the University of the Philippines, National College of Public Administration and Governance, or UP-NCPAG. Professor Khan is concurrently the editor of the Asian Congress for Media and Communication Journal, Associate Editor of Plaridel Journal, and a member of the editorial board of Springer Publications' book series on Communication, Culture, and Change in Asia. Prior to joining the university, she was a senior reporter for Business World, a leading business daily, wherein she covered Congress and Malacanang, as well as Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Rachel Khan.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Wait, let me just adjust this. It's an honor to be here with you this morning, and I hope we can have a fruitful discussion afterwards. Okay. So the topic that was given to me was information as a tool for citizens' trust and participation in policy process. But at the same time, I thought so that we would all be on the same page, I'd give you some background on the media landscape. Where do I point this para gumalaw siya? Ayan, okay. All right, so in this Thursday talk, this is the outline of my lecture. First, the current media landscape, the 3 P's of public participation, all the 3 levels would be more accurate, information disorder, and challenges and opportunities. So let me start. So the current media landscape, what we have right now are 9 national broadsheets, 227 TV stations. This includes, of course, the ones in the provinces, and 700 plus radio stations, and 15 online news sites, or at least those dedicated with the news. As we can see from the graph, this is from the recent study of digital news by Reuters Institute, that most of the audiences are gravitating towards the online media, the orange line. The least is print, in terms of audience. Nandito pala. Okay. Now, trusted news brands. We can see that the traditional media, the trusted news brands are the ones we very well know and still manage to maintain their status, with the lead of, we can see here, ABS-CBN, despite being online, is still the second in rank in terms of popularity. So we can see the stats of the media that's still making an impact in society, and those that are being read. So we can see the first line, to see the market share of Philippine Star, for example, at 60. Siyempre, hindi ko makita dahil masyadong malayo yung text at masyadong maliit yung sa akin. Pero nakikita nyo sana. No, so the ones maintaining the majority, or the 60 plus, are still the traditional Philippine Daily Inquirer, Philippine Star, both the online and the print, ABS-CBN. GMA News is actually the ones right now on top. I guess because they have both they have both broadcast and online still existing. So, in terms of social media, we can see that the country is still a Facebook country, with 74% still on Facebook, while in many other Southeast Asian countries, actually, Facebook has gone down and Twitter is higher. YouTube is the second, and we will see later that this is actually where a lot of problems also arise, in terms of disinformation. Facebook Messenger, so TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter or X. So this is the ranking of social media influence. If we look at the social media paradigm, actually, here I have a graph of what it used to be like, old media, versus what it is today, new media. What's a big difference? In the past, in a not so recent past, news information was one way. Even, for example, from the Senate, from the House, we get press releases. But the audience or the public don't have a chance to participate or to comment or to give us feedback. When it is reported in the news, again, it is a one-way paradigm, no? The pink side. And in the green side, you see that these days, with social media, you have both traditional media, but the ability of the public to react or to comment, no, through their own social media channels. No? So as you very well know, and I'm sure you're part of the new media paradigm, no, that you have your own YouTube channels, Facebook pages, websites, etc. So it's now really a two-way street where the users are also producers. So this is something that we have to keep in mind when we engage the public. No, that it's not a one-way street. They have other sources of information. They can check what we're saying. No, they can verify from other sources, which may or may not be truthful. No? One of the things in a recent talk I gave to new legislators at the House, no? I was part of the NCPAG training group as well. I was asking the new legislators, no, 2 questions you should ask them yourselves. No, what is my purpose for engaging the public, and what channels are appropriate? And in their case, I also ask, how engaged do you want to be with your constituents? No? And I think these are the 3 questions that we have to keep in mind in terms of public participation, public engagement. No? That the purpose is never far from the implementation or the communication that we create. So as I said, let's talk about the 3 levels of engaging the public. No? So there's the negative level, number 1, propaganda. What is that? No? It aims to influence public opinion, but it is often biased or manipulative, usually using even falsehoods or half-truths. No, unfortunately, it is something that is quite common in Philippine society. No, it serves specific agendas, causes, and political ideas. The second is public relations. Public relations differentiates itself from propaganda. In a way, it also has the same motive. It focuses on building and maintaining a positive relation between your organization and the public. It also manages reputations, handles crisis, and generates a positive media coverage, but this time it uses truthful information. No, so it is a presentation, of course, of the good side of what we're doing, but in a truthful rather than manipulative way. No? And then, of course, the last is the press releases, or what I simply call press releases. But this is all the information that we give on really what is happening. For example, in informing the public the activities of your committee, the status of bills, no, the events in the legislature. So these are normally provided not only by first by the journalists who are covering, of course, the Senate and the House, but also from your end, no, the press releases, for example, a new bill has been released, no, an activity that, or a public hearing that you conducted, making this available to the public is the third option, no, that we give the public the information that they would be able to use, no, to make decisions, to support a bill, or even to react to a bill. So just to further emphasize, no, the difference between propaganda and PR. No? While PR and propaganda both shape perceptions, PR operates on transparency and facts, whereas propaganda relies on manipulation and bias. And then public relations versus press releases, no, PR shows only the good side or promotes individual personalities, and press releases inform the public of the events, issues, factually and with no favors, meaning whether it's good or bad news, no, we inform the public of what has been discussed, what has been presented. No? For example, in a public hearing, of course, you have several sectors, no, a press release would include the voices of all the sectors present, no, not just the voices that we want to be heard. Teka lang. Okay, oops. I just wanted to point out one of the we can keep in mind, or one of the guides is actually the four-way test of the Rotary International, which for me is a good guide to most everything, but including especially communication. Now, is it the truth? Is it fair? Will it produce goodwill? Because good information always produces goodwill with your constituents. No? And is it beneficial to all concerned? No? Not just for a few. Okay, so tell me, what P is this? This is from the Facebook page of the Senate. Silence. Ito. Press release talaga. Okay, so although in this case all is true, so one can say that the first two is public relations, right? Because it's not a falsehood. It's just that the first one has nothing to do with the Senate task of this particular senator, right? So as a journalist, I ask myself, why is it on, or as actually a journalism professor, I ask myself, why is it on the Senate page? It's fine that it's on this particular senator's social media page because he should put it there because it's something good and something nice and something, it's publicity. But the Senate represents the people, not necessarily while yes, they're the leaders, but it's primarily a public service, a public information. So the difference between the first and the second, the first is, it has nothing to do with the duties of this particular senator. The second has to do with the committee hearing. So therefore, it is perfectly valid on the Senate Facebook page. It would have been the third information or public release if the content of that particular hearing was actually part of what was inputted in that Facebook entry. Not just the face of the senator and the title of the hearing. Walang laman eh. Kaya PR pa rin siya. Kung nalagyan sana ng laman, edi we're inviting already public participation, right? Of course, all the live screenings, that's of course informing the public necessarily because they see what's going on for themselves. Okay, so in making a message for the public, these are things to keep in mind. It is the same things that journalists keep in mind when they are writing news stories. At least yung mga legit na journalists. Okay? Kasi merong hindi. We will talk about them later too. So yes, some things to keep in mind. Timeliness, which is the same as news media. So if you're going to come out with a press release, at least media dapat kasi sa amin same day. Pero ang press release, mas maganda same day para yung mga media na hindi nakapag-cover, yun ang gagamitin. But at the most, for your own committee pages or websites, it would be good to have at least a 2-day, maximum of 2 days when you bring it out. Kasi pag 1 week, stale na, dapat may bago na nangyayari. Credibility, of course, the image that you put there, the news that you put there builds on credibility. When there is more information, the more the people can believe in, or you build your own credibility by the amount of information that you provide. No? So when it's just a lot of pictures, a lot of PR stuff, then the public will generally dismiss it as, this is just a PR page. What happens is after a few times that they visit, they'll stop visiting. Kasi wala naman kaming information na kukuha dyan eh. Right? So we'll rely on other sites. No? And worse if they rely on a vlog that does not cover properly. Right? Because it's not vetted. So you want them also to look at the official sites, your official voice, before they go out to the more commercial voices. But this is very important. Now, for example, with one false news, it can be broken, that credibility. This happened, for example, to DPWH some years ago. No, I can't remember exactly how many years ago, maybe 5 or 6. Pero kasi kaibigan ko yung DPWH official. This is the time when, if you remember, I think everybody's old enough to remember, not so long ago, the time that there was a flooding sa may Rojas Boulevard, and that they wanted to check the breakwaters na nasira. All right. So what did DPWH do? They put out a picture that had the 3 DPWH officials surveying the breakage. No? But then, you could see, I mean, even the not so trained eye can see that the 3 officials was photoshopped into the picture dun sa breakwater. So, nag-viral siya as a fake news, di ba? And then, the worst part is, everybody who knew Photoshop was already picking out the 3 officials, tapos putting them on the moon, putting them some, di ba? Parang naging joke. Okay? Now, anong masakit dito? Dahil nga kaibigan ko yung isa dun sa 3. Sabi niya, nandun naman talaga kami. No? But they were too far for this lazy photographer to have gone to where they were. Right? So, hindi pangit yung angle na nakuha niya dun sa 3. So, sabi niya, ay, gandahan ko yung picture ko. Photoshop niya. When a real photo, which did not have a nice composition, and etc., was taken on one mobile, nandun naman talaga yung 3, di ba? Yun yung masakit dun eh. Yung talagang ginagawa nila yung trabaho nila. Pero, dahil kung sino man yung kanilang social media, in charge ng social media nila, Photoshop, nagmukha tuloy silang tinatamad, no? Na hindi pumunta doon, no? So, that can happen. And worse, that the credibility of both their public information pages plus the officials themselves, no? Nagkaroon ng credibility problem. No? Yun, sayang. Kasi the irony nga is, finally you have people doing their job. Sila pa yung nadali. No? Yun. So, and then, of course, significance and relevance. No? That it should be relevant to your constituents. No? That what we put out, because that builds credibility. When we have other things that are there, now leave it for your personal websites or personal Facebook pages. No? It should be focused on, if you say you're the Committee on Appropriations, then yung sa committee page nyo, yun lang talaga yung laman. Yung everything to do with committee work. No? Because there are other channels naman for other things. Prominence, you don't have any problem, di ba? Kasi kahit sino sa sa mga between the congressmen and the senators, may prominence na. No? So hindi na yan pinag-uusapan. Proximity, meaning the target, it should be, proximity usually is what is relevant to your immediate audience. So again, dahil buong Pilipinas naman ang coverage nito, again, that's covered all. Lastly, drama, catchiness, uniqueness. Of course, this is something that media, especially commercial media, uses, no, to catch audiences. You don't really need that because your job is for public information and participation. However, when something you want to focus on something, for example, there was a interesting discussion in the hearing, then maybe that could also be the start or the catch before we start informing them of the more boring stuff. No? So these are things that you keep in mind, no, when generating information for your pages. Oops, bakit siya Ayan. Okay, challenges and opportunities. First, the challenges, no, which we'll be discussing: information disorder, which is the biggest challenge, I think, of information in this country at the moment. The results of algorithms and virality, and then your own development of the public information policy. Okay, so this is the map of the information disorder. So there are 3 types: misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. What is the difference? Misinformation is wrong information, but it's due to a mistake, no, or basta the intent was not, it was not intentional. Now this can be easily corrected by acknowledging an error. Teka lang, kukuha ako ng... No, I'm fine. Okay, so misinformation is non-intentional false information. This disinformation, which we see is between both because it can encompass both, is intentional and malicious false information given to the public. Meaning, kasi yung misinformation, for example, a journalist can make a mistake or talk to the wrong source, no? Ito yung sinabi ng source niya. So, yun ang report niya. Yung pala yung source nagkamali. So, hindi alam ng journalist na mali yung information na binigay sa kanya nung report niya. That's misinformation. Yung disinformation, alam nung source na mali yung sinasabi niya at sinasadya niyang sabihin yun. Para either mabola yung journalist, mabola yung public, or everybody else around them. No? So that's disinformation. Malinformation is, it might be truthful information, but I thank you. It might be truthful information, but it is released in a time, sometimes the timing is to destroy somebody's reputation, to make somebody appear less credible. Kumbaga, it's maliciously released. It could be personal information, it could even be truthful, but it breaks privacy. Diba? There are information that's private, for example, somebody's health information. No? So, does the public need to know that? Pero yung magre-release ng malinformation, alam niya na nag-violate siya ng privacy, alam niya na masisira ang reputation nito at if they release it at this time. Now, even if they found out about this maybe 6 months ago, or this happened years ago nung bata pa yung tao, whatever, pero yung timing ng release, pangpasira talaga ng reputation ng isang tao. So that's what we call malinformation. May mali siya. No? Okay, so this is basically how we differentiate the 3. Now, what is the intent? No, if the intent was, it was a mistake, it's misinformation, the intent, there was no intent to deceive, it's misinformation. If there was intent from the beginning, it is disinformation. Knowledge, no? It can be an opinion, but it's presented as fact. No? That's another way to misinform. No? So, actually, opinion lang pala ng tao. Pero ang presentation sa pag-report ay parang factual siya. Again, there's an intent to deceive. No? And then, if it's fact-based, no? What is the fact there? Can you verify it? So there are 7 common disorders. No? These are the common types of disinformation that we have seen in the social media space. No? Actually, some of it has been there in traditional media for the longest time. It's just harder to detect. No? But in social media, it is very pervasive. No? So the first is satire or parody. Now, this is technically not a disinformation kasi nagpapatawa lang naman talaga, di ba? However, what we found, especially during at least sa check.ph, what we found during the 2019-2022 elections, yung mga news stories dun sa parody pages, linilift dun sa parody pages where you know that it's a joke, tapos pinapalabas sa Facebook na kala mo totoong balita. Okay, so kina-cut and paste nila from a page that you would recognize it as a joke and then presented as truth. No? Or worse, is sometimes it is on the parody site, but again, another problem of Philippine society is free data. Okay, why is that a problem? Kasi if you open your Facebook page on free data, di ba hindi niya linalabas yung images? Correct? So pag hindi niya linalabas yung images at hindi mo siya ida-download dahil ayaw mo nga gumamit ng data, makikita mo lang yung headline. Hindi mo makikita na yung image na sa ibabaw niya, yung logo ng parody site. Di ba? So hindi mo alam na galing pala dun sa, for example, Adobo Chronicles. Right? So, kung dun galing, alam mo siyang joke. Pero dahil hindi mo nakikita yung logo ng Adobo Chronicles, isipin mo, tapos headline lang yung nakita mo, "Hay, ano nangyari?" Di ba? So, kala mo totoo. No? And many people fall for it, no? Because they don't read through. They just read the headline, they don't open it, kasi nga, it will cost data. No? So yan. That's why naging source of disinformation siya. Miscellaneous, misleading content. This is content that aims to mislead. So minsan, sometimes we call this clickbait also. No? They give an exciting headline. Tapos pag binasa mo yung storya, walang karelasyon doon sa headline. Diba? So it misleads you to think that this is the news. For example, there was this news about UP. Bloodshed in UP. So, ano to? May crime. Yung pala may nagkatay ng manok dun sa yung inaalagaan nilang mga manok dun sa tabi-tabi. Parang, di ba? Parang, balita ba to? Di ba? So, yeah, it's misleading. But meanwhile, you gave them already di ba they're after virality, they're after clicks kasi that's how you earn. So, sometimes, that's what happens, no? They mislead. Imposter content, this is more malicious because they create fake websites. No? They even hack the original website so that you are diverted into the fake one. So kala mo you're on ABS-CBN page, yung pala, nung nag-click ka dun sa na yon, meron na-hack na pala na nalagay ka na sa ibang pahina. No? This can be detected if you are on a laptop, but on the mobile, hindi. Laptop kasi, okay, this is a trick. Don't look at the URL here, look at the one down here, because that will tell you where you really are. Kasi kung fine-fake nila to, yung baba, hindi nila ma-fake. Now, there's this little tiny, hardly see it, but it tells you what site you're actually on. So, sa laptop, it's easier. But then most of us are on mobile. False connections, again, this is sometimes like misleading content. They have a picture. This time, usually, pag false connections, iba yung picture kesa dun sa storya. So it has no, pero it's in the same, sa layout, no? Magkasama sila, pero hindi sila magkarelasyon. Okay, so again, it misleads. False context. No, again, this one is another way of falsifying information. They take out the reality from its context, no? And they say, so and so said this. Pero hindi mo naman sinabi kung bakit niya sinabi yon. Right? And then manipulated content is when, again, they manipulate what is there. It is not truthful. And fabricated content, it's 0% truth. So I have to go faster daw. Okay. Next. Nasaan na? Okay, yeah. Just something to keep in mind. People are still sharing fake news and fake competitions disregarding any use of logic. No? All right, so this information is created, not planned. So these people creating all these fabricated information, hindi yan accidental. Now, there is a body. There are persons behind it who create it, who produce it, and then they leave it to the reproduction. Now, the redistribution is us. If we fall for it and then share without thinking, share without checking. Ayan. So, and in what we've found out sa Check That Page is yung nag-create ng false ng disinformation. For example, may mag-create sa Facebook page nila na si so-and-so nag-drop out na from the electoral race. No? Sinabi as a candidate, nag-withdraw na siya. But it's false. Okay? So once they see that it is shared, nawawala yung sa original page. So hindi mo na matrace kung saan originally nanggaling yung false information. This is one of the tricks of the disinformers. And that's why it's very hard for us to track unless na binabantayan talaga namin yung pahina na yun. Kaya namin nadidetect. But otherwise, once it's spread, it's very hard to trace where the original source is. And that's one of the tricks. So sadya yan. Then, of course, because it's redistributed, no, then you can either fall for it or not. And then there are what we call echo chambers. No, you have to be careful that your social media is pluralistic. No, because, syempre, friends of friends, we like the same things. And before you know it, you only see one side of news. No? And the problem between traditional and new media, traditional media kasi it's covered, the entire country is covered. No? Necessarily, lahat ng balita, masasama siya kahit papano. Sa social media, nakikita mo lang yung gusto mong basahin, yung bias sa'yo. Because algorithms can determine what is interesting to you. And therefore, that could be, kala mo you're seeing everything, when actually, ang narrow na pala nung window mo of information. And that's the danger, especially nung election, kung nag-delete ka ng mga tao na hindi mo ka-agree, di ba? Nabwisit ka sa mga comment nila, dinilit mo sila in-unfriend mo sila, liniitan mo lalo yung ano mo, yung yung echo chamber mo, okay? So again, you will only hear what you like to hear. Then of course, talagang may nananadya, no? We have troll farms that really want to create those echo chambers because they can control and manipulate you more effectively when they do, no? So that's why they attack. They put all sorts of ugly messages on your Facebook comments, no? So that you will shrink didelete mo sila. Didelete mo yung nag-share. Paliit ng paliit yung ano mo kasi otherwise the opposite will happen, the flame wars, no? Awayin mo sila. di ba? So iba naman ang direction nung algorithm mo nun. Okay? So it's all a game of algorithms. This is something that we have to keep in mind. There are things that the gatekeepers of today is not anymore your editors, your reporters. It is the algorithm that controls what can be seen or not seen on your social media channels. So I just give you some areas to think about, and then we could discuss this later on sa open forum. No? So principles of public information policy when creating your information channels. No? First is truthfulness, because this is something that the public deserves. This is what our Constitution protects. No? The right to information. Transparency, that the sources are there. No? So one way also of destroying your credibility is if you are caught plagiarizing information. Accountability, that you're accountable to what is there. No? Whatever you share, you're accountable for it. No? So if you guarantee that it's the truth, that again adds to the credibility of the source. And then governance, the sharing of information with due respect to cases that need confidentiality, privacy, and discretion. So there are things, for example, some coverages, some resource speakers, na very private yung information, diba? Nangyari rin dito sa Senado yon na naging voyeurism ang issue, hindi na siya for legislative purposes, diba? So yeah, so again, we have to be also cognizant of there are things that need to be kept private. So credibility, if we build credibility, we build trust. It's as simple as that. We can talk about trust forever, but if there's no credibility, then that's the fastest way of losing public trust. And if we lose public trust, it is very hard to gain back. Okay. With that I end. Thank you very much. I will just leave you with some independent fact-checking sites in the coming 2025 elections. Ito yung mga masipag na nagpa-fact check. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khan. For those who are tuning in through the DAP Facebook page and YouTube Live, you may post your questions below the live stream of this lecture. One of the CBILLS social media team will consolidate your questions for the open forum later. Okay, now please allow me to introduce our next speakers who will share their initiatives in ensuring free and balanced information for citizen participation. Our first panelist is Mr. Fred Moore Cavan, who currently serves as the Deputy Regional Head of the Philippine Information Agency, PIA of Calabarzon, the grassroots communication arm of the national government in the Calabarzon region. In this capacity, he plays a pivotal role in the effective dissemination of government news and information across the region. That's Mr. Cavan. Our second speaker is Ms. Melinda Quintos de Jesus, who is currently the Executive Director of the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility. She has worked as a columnist and an editor in many of the Philippine news publications, including Bulletin Today or Manila Bulletin, the Philippine Daily Inquirer, Manila Times, Philippine Star, and Veritas News Magazine. She has developed training programs on media and the justice system, human rights reporting, peace journalism, coverage of the marginalized sectors like women and children, LGBT and indigenous peoples, and other emerging issues in the news agenda. So we'll allow Ms. De Jesus to take her seat first. Hi, welcome, ma'am, and good morning. It's okay. We love you still. She will be followed by Ms. Jennifer Aquino, a journalist with more than 12 years of combined practice across different aspects of media production, producing content including news, factual features, and fact-checking. She serves as a managing director at Pro Productions Incorporated, overseeing all production activities and operations. Under her leadership, Probe embarked on a fact-checking campaign and an anti-disinformation collaboration with content creators. Her team's commitment to accuracy led Probe to become a proud signatory of the International Fact-Checking Network, or IFCN, a testament to the organization's dedication to journalistic integrity and the dissemination of verified information. We also have Ms. Bea Bautista, the TikTok communications lead for the Philippines and Malaysia, heads the external communications and public relations. She'll round up the panel discussion. In her role, she collaborates with cross-functional teams to create trust, safety, and integrity campaigns, manage risk and reputation, and develop business communications to drive growth and a positive reputation for TikTok. Prior to TikTok, she was previously the Philippine communications lead for Meta. She also used to be with the Eon Group, first as the account director for lifestyle and consumer tech in Manila, and then later on as part of the team that set up Eon's first international office in Dubai, UAE. Please join me in welcoming our panelists, Mr. Cavan, to be followed by Executive Director De Jesus, then Ms. Aquino, and finally Ms. Bautista. Sir?
Okay po, a pleasant morning to everyone. On behalf of our Regional Director, Maria Cristina Arzadon, I would like to thank the Development Academy of the Philippines and our CBILLS scholars for giving us the opportunity to share with you the initiatives and efforts of the Philippine Information Agency Calabarzon in ensuring free and balanced information for citizen participation. All right, so 46% or 12.9 million Filipino families po ang nagsabi na sila ay mahirap. So this is according to the survey conducted by the Social Weather Station last March 2024. Well, of course, there are contributing factors and indicators for poverty, but there are also government programs and services na pwede po nilang ma-avail in order for them to uplift their lives or improve the quality of their life. And maybe hindi lamang po nila na-access itong mga programa at serbisyo ng gobyerno dahil wala din po silang access to right information. So imagine po if we give them or we provide them the access to right information, mas magiging madali din po yung pag-access nila doon sa mga serbisyo at programa ng gobyerno, which in turn makakapagpataas po ng antas ng kanilang pamumuhay and eventually mabawasan po natin yung bilang ng mahirap na pamilyang Pilipino dito sa ating bansa. Of course, there are challenges and barriers when it comes to providing access to right information. But kami po sa Philippine Information Agency ay ginagawa po namin ang aming lahat ng makakaya to really address itong information gaps and maging patuloy po na tulay ng impormasyon sa pagitan ng gobyerno at ng mga Pilipino. Because we believe po that access to the right information would really enable us to make informed decisions. So for example po, sa usapin ng kalusugan, if people are aware and have greater understanding po noong mga government health programs and services, mas mabibigyang prioridad at mas matututukan po natin ng pansin yung ating mga pangangailangang pangkalusugan and medical. May iwasan na rin po natin yung mortality cases pagdating doon sa mga infants and mothers, because magkakaroon na sila ng access doon sa mga healthcare services which are specifically designed for them po habang sila ay nagbubuntis. And doon din po sa mga mortality cases pagdating sa mga batang hindi nababakunahan, mababawasan na po natin yon since ang mga parents ay magkakaroon na po ng access to right information about vaccinations and vaccine preventable diseases. Sa usapin naman po ng trabaho, if people are also aware and naiintindihan nila yung mga government trainings and employment programs ng gobyerno, for sure po, mas magandang job opportunities yung naghihintay para sa kanila na makatutulong, hindi lamang po para sa kanilang sarili, kundi mapaunlad din po yung ekonomiya ng ating bansa. Also po, during elections, if people are aware and naiintindihan din po nila yung mga candidates na binoboto po nila, for sure magkakaroon din po tayo ng mga magagaling at may malasakit na national and local leaders who would really address yung mga problema and issues na kinakaharap po natin sa ating mga respective communities. Also po, if ang people ay may awareness and understanding din po pagdating sa kanilang role in the development planning process, mas magiging aktibo po yung pakikilahok ng ating mga mamamayang Pilipino doon sa mga programa po ng ating government. And also, mas maitataguyod or mas maisusulong po natin yung ating mga pangangailangan and yung ating mga karapatan, and at the same time, maitataguyod din po natin yung transparency and accountability in local governance. The same po sa West Philippine Sea issue. If ang lahat ng Pilipino ay alam at talagang naiintindihan po yung issue natin or yung side natin sa West Philippine Sea, mas magiging unified po ang stand ng Pilipinas doon sa pinag-aagawang teritoryo. Hindi po yung tayong mga Pilipino pa po yung mukhang nag-aaway-away, pero alam naman po natin kung sino yung tunay na kalaban. So, the same with citizens, if ang government din po ay aware at naiintindihan yung mga issues, mga challenges, and yung tunay na pangangailangan po ng mga mamamayan on the ground, mas magiging responsive po yung approach when it comes doon sa pag-implement ng mga programs and projects ng ating government. Mas magiging angkop po doon sa pangangailangan ng communities yung mga programa na ipapatupad ng ating pamahalaan. So mahalaga po na alam at naiintindihan po ng publiko yung mga information na ibinibigay natin sa kanila because number one, ito po ay makatutulong for us to make informed decisions. Pangalawa, may hikayat din po yung mga Pilipino na makilahok po sa mga programa ng gobyerno. And sa government side, mas magiging angkop or mas magiging responsive po yung mga programa na ipinapatupad natin para sa ating mga mamamayang Pilipino. So ito pong mga ito magtutulak po upang maitaas po ang antas ng pamumuhay ng bawat Pilipino. So this is our end goal po, to have improved quality of life. Ito po ang pangarap ng Philippine Information Agency sa sambayan ng Pilipino, ang maitaas po ang antas ng pamumuhay at kalidad po ng buhay ng bawat Pilipino sa pamamagitan ng information na ibinibigay po natin sa kanila. So just a brief background, the Philippine Information Agency po is the grassroots communications arm of the government. We are an attached agency of the Presidential Communications Office, and we are the largest communications network po in the country with 16 regional offices and 78 provincial information centers. So ano-ano po ba yung ginagawa ng Philippine Information Agency para maisakatuparan itong pangarap po namin sa sambayan ng Pilipino? So we are implementing various development communications programs, and we make sure po na yung mga information na ibinibigay namin sa publiko ay accurate and translated into local dialects. So mas naiintindihan po ng ating mga kababayan yung information na ating ibinibigay sa kanila. We also leverage po on the combined use of the digital and traditional media platforms. And although na papunta po tayo doon sa digital transformation, we are still utilizing itong ating mga traditional media platforms because syempre meron pa rin naman pong digital divide sa ating bansa, which this government po is still trying to address. And marami pa rin po sa ating mga kababayan ang nagre-rely on these platforms as sources of information dahil wala rin po silang access to digital connectivity tools. Also, we are doing awareness campaigns which are very effective po in strengthening the awareness of the Filipino people in terms of programs and services of the government. And also, true to our mandate po of being the grassroots communications arm, we are going down po to the barangay level to conduct barangay forums. So dito po, tinatalakay po namin ang iba't ibang serbisyo at programa ng pamahalaan na angkop doon po sa kanilang respective communities. And also po, we believe that ang media po ay mahalaga po ang kanilang role in the information dissemination. That's why we are actively engaging them po doon sa aming mga media forum programs. So in Calabar Zone, we have the kapihan sa PIA. At mas pinalakas pa po ito sa paglulunsad po noong pinakabago naming program in partnership with the Presidential Communications Office. So ito po yung kapihan sa bagong Pilipinas. Dito po tinatalakay ang iba't ibang programa at serbisyo ng gobyerno under the bagong Pilipinas governance agenda ng ating current administration. Also, we are doing capacity building programs for our government communicators who serve as our amplifiers in informing the public about the relevant government information. And aside po doon, we also provide technical assistance in terms of crafting and implementing the respective communications programs. Also, we are doing communication research programs. So dito po pumapasok yung feedback mechanism between the government and the people kung saan po ay we gather issues on the ground na siyang ibinibigay po namin sa mga government agencies concerned for their appropriate actions. And also, hindi po kaya ito ng mag-isa ng Philippine Information Agency. That's why we are banking on the support of our partner government organizations, private institutions, and other non-government organizations po in fulfilling our mandate of delivering timely, relevant, and accurate information. And despite all these efforts po with all of these initiatives, meron pa rin pong challenges na kinakaharap ang Philippine Information Agency, which contributes doon po sa tinatawag nating information gaps and information disorders. And kabilang po dyan ang disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. So with the advancement po of technology and with the advent of artificial intelligence, mas naging challenging pa po yung ating laban when it comes to different types of fake news. Dahil with AI po, with artificial intelligence, information and even identity po can now be manipulated just to spread false narratives, specifically doon sa ating mga digital media platforms. So ano po ba ang ginagawa ng Philippine Information Agency to combat itong ating different types of fake news? So for the part of PIA, aside po doon sa aming mga development communication programs, we are also implementing media and information literacy programs to really empower our people, to really empower the Filipino people po to fight fake news by giving them the kung paano po ma-recognize yung mga sources of fake news or mga tools na makakatulong po sa kanila to identify fake news. So we believe po that by empowering individuals with the right tools and strategies, we can collectively work towards minimizing the impact of fake news and promoting a more informed society. So over the years po, we have implemented several MIL programs such as the Dismiss Disinformation, Cyber Ready campaign, and the Explain, Explain, Explain. And now, under the leadership po of our new PCO Secretary, Attorney Sheloy Velicaria Garafil, we welcome po the new MIL program, which is the Maging Mapanuri. So Maging Mapanuri is not just a mere MIL campaign, but this is a call to action for citizens for us po to be a responsible sharers and consumers of information. And of course, ang laban po sa fake news ay hindi lamang po laban ng PIA and the Presidential Communications Office. So we are calling the support of everyone, especially po our CBILLS scholars, na maging part po ng laban na ito towards making a more informed society. So I hope na ang ating mga CBILLS scholars po ay maging katuwang ng Philippine Information Agency sa pagbabahagi ng tamang information sa ating mga Pilipino. So muli po, maraming salamat at mabuhay po ang ating mga CBILLS scholars.
In welcoming Executive Director Melinda De Jesus from the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility.
I don't like my voice booming out, Just keep it, as long as you can hear me, that's all we need to know. I know that we all had to wake up very early to get to where we are, given that this place and our city is quite a difficult place to get from one place to another. But I could not say no to this invitation because, one, it was going to bring me closer to some sources of news, as staff of the Senate are probably better sources of information and news than their bosses. Yeah. So my trick here really is that after meeting up with you, I will assess whether we should advise in the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility to get in touch with all of you. And if you can give us your contacts, then we might be able to direct the media to get the information that the citizens need to know about. So I was asked to tell you about the work of the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility, CMFR. It's not a very nice acronym, but we were rushing to get ourselves registered in 1989. So maybe some of you were not even born yet then. I had already gone through the period of the protest movement, the alternative press, and we were rather upset about the situation when there were so many newspapers, 26 at one count after 1986, and 5 TV networks operating, and yet everywhere people were saying, yes, there's so much news, but we still can't understand what is going on. It was a period of coup attempts, of all kinds of information going back and forth, picked up by the media, thinking that they were giving the latest and the best information, and yet we had to go back there and basically check out the sources. And so what did I do? I took a hammer and banged it on my head. I said, we should do something about this because the press is not going to do the work that it's supposed to do on its own. We must engage citizens in the transformation of the media institution. We must get a multi-sectoral framework, multi-sectoral. We have to depend on the sources of news from outside of government, not just government, engage ourselves in discussions of the issues of the day, and decide where is the truth here? Where is the lack of truth? Because at that point, we still did not have the terms of disinformation, misinformation, etc., etc. But the fact is, all of these are old concepts. We have always had to deal with lies and deceit and deception. Some of it unintentional, most of it quite calculated and calibrated to hit the audiences that those in power, most of the time, and they're not always just in government, they also belong to the business and all the different associations of institutional power in our society. So what about CMFR? CMFR decided that we need a multi-sectoral framework, we need to engage with citizens, and so in 1989, when everyone was complaining, Melinda, ano ba naman itong nangyayari? Is this the press that we fought for? Is this the press that we marched for? For press freedom to leave us more confused than understanding and interpretation of what is really going on. Now, everyone can blame the media, but I have to tell you that the media and the quality of media depends on the society in which it operates. So it can't be bad by itself. It cannot be misleading on its own. It has to be given also that kind of agency from the sources of news, which is my colleague just presented to us their intention to give correct information. Well, the primary source of information for news, the most credentialed source of news is what? Government. Government and public officials. So if you say, ang gulo-gulo, hindi namin naiintindihan, siguro dapat sabihin din natin, dun sa nagbibigay ng balita, sa media, na ayusin naman ninyo yung mensahe ninyo. Sabi nung isang ahensya, ito. Sabi nung kabila, ganito. Okay? And what we want the media then, which is part of the programs of CMFR, is to begin to interpret what the news is. So the problem is not just that the sources of news are sometimes also confused. It is also that news conventions focus on a number of elements. Ito po yung 19 kopong-kopong sabi natin. Ganito na po yung pagturo sa journalists. Hanapin ninyo ang who, what, where. Nagkukulang naman ang why and how. Nagkukulang yung interpretative capacity or capacitation, a term that I do not like to use, but it is used. You know what it means, to bring up or to raise up the capacity of the media to be able to tell citizens or the public audience, this is actually what it means. So yung madaming narratives na gumugulo sa atin, nauukol kay Alice Go, ito yung ibig sabihin nun, may nagpapasok sa kanila. May gumawa ng mga false documents, nanggaling rin sa mga ahensya. So there is a conspiracy larger than just the foreign nationals who want to come in and do what they want to do with our country. They have collaborators within our country. That's the interpretation. But of course, there are things that prevent the media to do this, because no one is saying it in official statements. Obviously, right? And so you have to look at it where in the commentary, which to my mind should not be separate, completely separated op-ed section from the main news. The main news has to provide interpretation as well, which is not being done. Why? Because people really do not want to have to work so hard to clarify the issues of public affairs and news. Unfortunately, we would much rather be entertained. We would much rather listen to chit-chat. We would much rather have someone else do all the talking and then say, anong sinabi niya? Naintindihan mo ba yun? And sometimes you don't even get there. You basically come out of listening to some of the wonderful commentary that is going on everywhere, free on YouTube and elsewhere. Great radio chat programs. I have to say, Ted Filon. But are we listening? Have we placed the importance of news on our personal and societal agenda? News, after all, is our public conversation. It is how we talk to each other even though we don't meet each other. As in the olden days when it was only a newspaper, newspapers that were delivered, Mr. So-and-so down the corner, over there in the other province, we are participating in the same exchange of ideas. And that is a glue that we are losing in the period of social media. I'm not going to give you the answers of what we need to do in order to be able to use social media for the functions of more meaningful exchange amongst each other. That would take too long. And sometimes I don't know if my ideas fit the problems anymore. As I am old, I'm probably the oldest person in this room, and my own growth, I mean, I have to have a granddaughter. No, she's already grown up now. She doesn't even help me anymore. Basically navigate through this forest of exchange. So where does that put us? What does CMFR do? It tries to go to the sources. It tries to promote an ethical framework, a multi-sectoral framework for transforming the press into what it was created to be. These are our programs. We promote media responsibility by monitoring. Unfortunately, the funds that I get are not sufficient for us to do nationwide monitoring, but maybe that is coming. There are some developments that might lead to that, and we could actually create little CMFR chapters all over the nation that can then go into community news and say, ay, yung periodiko na yan, hawak yan ng politiko, huwag nyo namang paniniwalaan lahat ng sinasabi. Hindi naman sinasabi, huwag nyo babasahin. Huwag nyo lang paniniwalaan lahat ng sinasabi. And check it out yourself and find out, especially in the local communities where they are more able to check the veracity and to be able to verify the truth of what is in the news. What we have tried to do as well is to create a community within the press that believes like ourselves, that we are nothing if we do not have the integrity to commit ourselves to responsible news delivery, news gathering. We were born in 1989. Did I say that already? And so, in the 35 years, CMFR has remained small. Why? Because we get funding, and the funding does not give us enough power to expand. And so what I have been trying to do, and why I accept these invitations to come from wherever I came from, which is far, is to engage groups in our society for us to be able to commit, to develop, and to demand the creation of a new service that Filipinos deserve. And given the challenging situations that we face, the complexity of the problems which we are confronted with, we need the very best, the finest, world-class, global capacity amongst our journalists. And yet we find journalists come out from school, and the teaching that they get there are, of course, textbooks, limited to what? You have to give them the experiences, etc. Even in CMFR, when we get our graduates from the pretty good institutions all around, I find that the teaching of journalism is not up to date to the current challenges that journalism faces. And I think that is not just journalists' problem. That is a societal problem. And that is why CMFR, in its programs, which promotes media ethics, cheers and jeers the wrong, rather, cheers the good, jeers the mistakes and the misleading, the use of news as propaganda, for example. We do teach the connection between media and democracy. We report on human rights. We teach and develop programs by which journalists can learn to report on complex processes like the peace process, BARM, na hindi nyo nakikita sa balita. They're having milestones in BARM that Filipinos should know about everywhere. Why? Because BARM is part of the Philippines, and those are Filipinos, our members of our society. We have developed our protection program, which is the second circle, the protection of journalists who are endangered in some of the places in this country. The number of those killed in the course of their work. And to be able to get lawyers to be able to bring cases to court, as we did for the Ampatuan massacre, where 32 journalists were killed in one bloody strike related to elections. And our final program is one that celebrates the best and the brightest. Meron po yan, meron po, marami pong magaling, kaya lang ang lawak po ng media landscape ngayon na parang wala silang masyadong epekto. Pero this program recognizes, and it's patterned after Jimmy Ongpin, who was not a journalist, but he raised the money for us to be able to continue to publish Veritas through the periods of 1983 to 1989, I think, when we put out its last. I have been asked to wrap up, and I have not told you the entire story. Oh, okay. We are governed by a board of trustees, and those are the journalists and esteemed media figures, also from business, as we want a multi-sectoral, also from private sector, because we want the problem of the media to be taken seriously, to be taken for the significance that it plays in our lives and in our public sphere. This is not for media to solve. This is for you to address and worry about, and join me in having taken that hammer to awaken us up and live to transform a powerful agency that often we have left to waste. Our influence has been pretty broad. We are members of the International Freedom of Exchange, where I've sat for 12 years as member of its council. We formed, now defunct, Southeast Asia Press Alliance, dedicated to democracy. We are part of the Asian Democracy Network. So with that, may I bid you all the rest of the day with great success and satisfaction. Thank you.
In welcoming Ms. Jennifer Aquino, the Managing Director from Probe.
Umaga ulit sa inyong lahat. Extra pressure for me kasi yung mga nirerespeto ko as a journalism student ay nandito, si Professor Can at si Ma'am Melinda ng CMFR. Ma'am, hindi ako naka-miss ng JVO event nung student pa ako sa UP Diliman. Hanggang ngayon po. Bago ako magsimula, gusto kong tanungin, sino dito ang pinuyat ng The Probe Team? Patawarin niyo po kami sa mga blood cells na nawala dahil sa late na pag-e-ere ng aming programa, pero salamat po sa mga nakakaalam pa rin at nakakatanda pa rin sa The Probe Team. So, I'm here po to talk about our work sa Probe. Iyon pa rin po ang Probe Team na nakilala nyo noon. So, may konti lang kaming transition at kaya po ako nandito ngayon.
So hindi ko na po papatagalin pa. Probe is one of the pioneers of film documentary in the Philippines, founded by broadcast journalist Cheche Lazaro in 1987. Magkabatch sila ng CMFR. Paano ba ito ipi-play? Okay, so balikan natin. Throwback.
This is Probe, your Friday night news magazine for television. Some of you may remember that the Probe team began nearly 2 years ago as Probe on Channel 2. Probe is an investigative news magazine that comes.
Okay. Mula noong 1987, fast forward tayo sa ngayon. Dahil hindi na lang Probe ang production company sa Pilipinas na gumagawa ng documentaries, kailangan namin makisabay. It was in 2016 when we started producing content for digital platforms. So all our stories in the past, we started uploading them online. But at the same time, continuing our documentary work. Play video, please. So, yan po yung mga shows namin in the last
Join
10
us,
years.
and let's have a good conversation. In this day and age.
Okay. Noong 2019 din, we started doing a lot of work to mount Probe archives. Ang tawag namin dito, the gem of Probe. Ang ibig sabihin, nasa Probe archives ang 14,000 tapes of coverage since 1987. So started digitizing these tapes so that we can upload stories and give people outside the media community access to the work that we did. Kasabay ng pagtatrabaho namin sa Probe Archives noong 2019, napansin namin na, teka lang, bakit ang feed namin puro na fake news? And as a media organization, ano bang dapat gawin? We realized na nasa amin ang pwedeng panlaban sa disinformation, ang mga resibo, ang Probe Archives. So sa tulong ng check.ph, ang unang-unang fact-checking collaborative group sa Pilipinas, nagkaroon kami ng training para maging fact-checkers. Play video. So ito yung mga archival footage na meron kami, galing sa Umatic tape, mini-DV, Betacam. So we are continuously digitizing everything and using them for our fact-checking work.
This is Probe.
You cannot pin your
Probe
hopes on
covered
saviors.
President Aquino, former President Corazon Aquino, up to former President Duterte up to now, up to this current administration, since we're still doing a lot of fact-checking work. But we wanted to ask ourselves, paano ba ilalapit ang aming work as fact-checkers, as media, or as a media organization, and our archives to you, sa audience, na babad sa internet. So welcome to Probe's fact-checking era. Marami nang gumagawa ng fact-checking work, and we are very thankful and grateful to the hard work of our media, our colleagues in the media, dahil hindi madali mag-fact-check dahil sa dami ng mga maling impormasyon bawat segundo, araw-araw. So naisip namin, as a media organization na ang bala ay video at visual storytelling, ano ang pwede naming i-contribute? In 2021, we started our campaign called Check or X. So, medyo kakaiba yung language kasi nga we wanted to reach the younger audience. So, check, ibig sabihin tama, X, ibig sabihin mali. Nagtanong ulit kami sa mga sarili namin, teka, yung mga videos na ina-upload natin, minsan 10,000 views lang, 5,000 pa dun, mga pamilya natin, tsaka friends. Pero inedit natin ng 3 days, hindi tayo natulog. Parang, worth it ba yun? So nag-isip kami paano ilalapit yung work namin sa mas malaking audience. We thought of something unusual. We tapped one of the top content creators in the Philippines today, McCoy Dubs. Kita nyo naman, ang engagement niya or likes niya, more than 14 million, di ba? With 1 million followers. At I think mas marami na yan ngayon. In a heartbeat, McCoy Dubs said yes to probe. So we had him train with us, nag-immerse siya sa aming trabaho, namasyal ng ilang beses sa probe library at nanood ng paulit-ulit ng mga old stories at ng mga archival footage para alam niya ang kanyang ginagawa. So, ang style ng fact-checking ng probe under CheckX ay gumamit ng isang relatable main character, si Aunt Julie. Lahat tayo may titang ganyan, di ba? Mahadera, tinatanong ka, kailan ka ba ikakasal? Taba mo na, kano sweldo mo? Play video, please.
Cassandra, faster! I'm hungry na! You know naman may blood sugar levels, di ba? Oh my God, look, Cassandra! Yeah! It's your ninang Pia over there. Yash! Pia! Come, Cassandra, you make mano to her, huh? She'll give you ano? What? Anong I don't want? My God, ha? Don't embarrass me to my hermana. Best friend kayo nung college. Oh, shh! Here she comes.
Ang unang fact-checking video ni McCoy Dubs ay umabot ng 500,000 views. The topic is about, totoo ba or peke ang EDSA revolution? Nagulat kami dahil po pwede pala something as serious as debunking fake news, something as serious as correcting tong mga political and historical revisions, pwede palang may ganong impact. So we continued our work with McCoy Dubs at bukod sa videos, makikita nyo din na ginagamitan ng fact-checking ni McCoy, gumagamit ng probe archives, ng fact-checking niya ng probe archives para din mailabas ang resibo. Sabi nila, madali daw i-photoshop or pikein yung pictures, text, di ba? Pero hindi ang mga videos na napanood na ng audience. Gusto kong i-share na marami kaming nakukuhang comments na bayad daw kami, binayaran daw kami ni McCoy Dubs. O kaya binayaran namin si McCoy Dubs. Pero tuwan-tuwa kami kasi maraming nagsasabi na napanood nila yung mga ginamit na footage sa probe. At paano naman mapepeke ang isang bagay na nangyari sa nakaraan, di ba? Bukod sa fact-checking videos, may mga ginagawa din kaming art cards. Kung kayo ay millennial o Gen Z, makikita ninyo na gumagamit kami ng memes or kaya mga trending elements para mas maging relatable at shareable ang aming mga fact-checking art cards. So, in 2023, we were recognized as one of the verified signatories of the IFCN. Isang manifestation na pwedeng creative ang isang bagay katulad ng fact-checking. So ano ang susunod na ginagawa ng probe at bakit nandito si Tita Baby? With the support of the with the help of the international media support, we are working and we have started actually the second phase of our anti-disinformation campaign. It's called What's the T? T means totoo or truth. Bukod kay McCoy Dubs, we are doing content with Your Tita Baby of Drag Race Season 3. So lahat ng political and historical myths, kinokorek ni Your Tita Baby kasama si Mighty Magulang sa Trot or Charot. All LGBTQIA issues, mga tanong or mga topic na hindi masyadong napag-uusapan, kinikwento ni Brigading sa Steering It with Brigading. Mga medical myths or yung mga sabi-sabi, fina-fact check up ni Doc Carlo. At next week, we are launching 3 more shows with Chef Jello para sagutin ang mga katanungan natin tungkol sa gutom, inflation, at presyo ng bigas. Meron din kaming bagong series na magdi-discuss rin tungkol sa West Philippine Sea kasama si Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. We want our fact-checking to go beyond your screens and the internet, of course. So we've also launched Probe Dukasyon, Truth School Caravan, where we bring our content creators and fact-checking media partners like Verifiles, Philstar, Press One, and Mindanews, mga classmate namin sa check.ph, sa mga paaralan para mag-training ng basic fact-checking at para rin ikwento kung ano ang ginagawa namin. Hindi namin sila pinipilit na maging fact-checkers, pero bilang users ng social media platforms, naniniwala kami na kailangan balikan nila na mahalaga ang pagiging totoo at responsableng social media user. So, malay nyo magkaroon ng DAP tour or Senate tour or Congress tour. So, gusto ko lang din balikan yung discussion kanina na nakikinig ang media sa problema ng society. Hindi kami nakipartner sa mga content creators dahil gusto lang namin sumikat. Tumulong sila sa amin dahil sila na ang pinakikinggan ninyo. At naniniwala kami na po pwede naman magtulungan ang journalists at ang mga content creators para sa isang layunin at yun ang protektahan ng katotohanan. Maraming salamat po.
When we were in high school, kasi yung probe team. So pag recitation, tas tinawag kami. Then sasagot naman kami. Tapos sasabihin ng teacher, where'd you get that answer? Ang sagot na uso nun, ma'am, napanood po namin sa probe. Tapos parang di na kami tinatanong, parang niniwala din naman namin. So medyo incredibility na students noon na dahil napanood namin sa probe. Yeah, but I'm a fan, yeah. All right, thank you so much. Next, we have the communications lead for the Philippines and Malaysia of TikTok. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Bea Bautista.
I'm Bea. It's such an honor to come after all of these pillars of Philippine journalism, so I'm quite nervous for this presentation today, but this is really more of just us telling you guys about how we strive to keep our community safe on TikTok. But before anything else, I wanted to check who of you here have a TikTok account? Oh, higher, I can't see. Oh, okay. Who of you here have children, kids, teens, who have TikTok accounts? Okay, has anyone watched a TikTok video? Yes, okay, perfect, all the time. Okay, so, oh, sorry, I got my clicker. So basically, I just really wanted to talk about how we keep our community safe. And for the next 15 minutes, I'll just be talking about our approach to safety, our community guidelines, our safety and privacy features, which I think would be very helpful for all of you, especially those whose kids are on TikTok. And finally, Philippine partnerships that we have done and people that we've collaborated with. Okay, so first, I'd like to talk about how we approach safety. So at TikTok, our mission is really to inspire creativity and bring joy. We are really an entertainment platform, and we strive to provide people with the freedom and safety to express themselves on our platform. But at the same time, oops, sorry. Okay, yeah, as I said, it's to inspire creativity and bring joy, while at the same time making sure that our users are safe. And safety is really our top priority on TikTok. So we invest in technology and moderation to ensure that every piece of content that you see on TikTok will follow our community guidelines. So, how do we protect our users? So we have 3 key pillars. The first one is policies. The second is technology and people. And the third is cultural context. So first, when I talk about policies and technologies, we have what we call our community guidelines. Is anyone familiar with community guidelines on TikTok? Yes, thank you, Tita Baby. So when we say community guidelines, this is really just basically a set of rules that we follow on our platform. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What technology is not keeping up with me? Wait, sorry. Can you press back? Back. Okay, there. All right. So we have what we call content moderation, wherein we have around 40,000 people working around the world on safety on TikTok, and we also have technology to ensure that all the content that we post is follows our community guidelines. Finally, we have cultural context and collaboration. So as I mentioned earlier, we do collaborate and consult with people in the Philippines, with people and NGOs in the Philippines, and that includes Mighty Magulang. Are you guys familiar with Mighty Magulang? Mona Magnovelos. So she's actually the Filipino member of our Safety and Advisory Council. And she provides a very important perspective for us because she's a creator, as well as a history buff and an autism advocate. Okay, so first, on our community guidelines. Next slide. So when we say our community guidelines, these are a basic set of laws, and you can actually see this both in English and Filipino. So we ensure that it's very readable, it's very understandable, and it really illustrates what is and what is not allowed on our platform. We also have the Community Guidelines Enforcement Report, which we publish every quarter. So if you want to take a look at what we've done for the Philippines specifically, you can actually go to tiktok.com/community guidelines enforcement report/ph. Okay, next slide. So these are just the main pillars of what our community guidelines encapsulate. So as you can see, it focuses on youth safety and well-being, sensitive and mature themes, safety and civility, regulated goods and commercial activities, mental and behavioral health, and integrity and authenticity. So under these pillars, we have certain sets of rules. And I would suggest actually that everyone really familiarize yourself with our community guidelines, because when we enforce on content, we rely on both our technology, but also on community reports. So if you see something that you think violates any of our community guidelines, then please report it. Because together, that's really how we help keep our community safe. Oops, sorry. Next slide. Okay, and as I said, we remove content from the platform that breaks our rules. We also age restrict content that is intended for minor audiences. And we also maintain the safety and integrity of our For You fields. So if you guys know TikTok, you know that we have an For You page, FYP, that basically recommends all the content that we think would be interesting to you. And that For You page is also very strictly moderated against our community guidelines. And finally, we empower our users with informed resources. So we have digital literacy campaigns, and we support a lot of digital literacy initiatives. Next slide. So actually last April, we also updated our community guidelines. So now it's more readable, it's more understandable for a broader audience. Next slide. I mentioned earlier that we have the Community Guidelines Enforcement Report, where we talk about what we did to enforce our guidelines on the Philippines and to promote user safety. So as of from January to March of 2024, we removed 4.27 million pieces of content on TikTok. 99.7% of those content were proactively removed, meaning they were there before anybody reported it, and 95% of those content were removed within 24 hours. Okay, moving on to safety and privacy features. So for those of you who have TikTok or whose kids have TikTok, I think this will be very helpful for you. So first, we age restrict. So actually, people below the age of 13 are not allowed on TikTok. And we actually have a lot of technology to detect underage users, but at the same time, we also would like to appeal to parents to ensure that only their children that are above 13 can use TikTok. Next. And then this is just how we restrict content for young audiences. So there are certain content that we do not allow young audiences below 18 to view. Next. And then we also prevent people below 18 from going live. Next. We also have zero tolerance against CSAM, and we ban and permanently ban those accounts that upload any kind of CSAM related material. Next. And then, of course, a lot of people, their children have TikTok, but they don't understand the platform as well. So we have resources that will really educate parents about TikTok and how to help guide their children as they explore TikTok. We also have this feature called family pairing. So if you're a parent and your child is on TikTok, you can actually pair your account with their account so that you're able to control what they view, control the time they spend on the app, and control what they post and who messages them. We also have screen time management for families. So again, as a parent, you're able to really manage your children's screen time. And then for the For You feed, if, for example, you feel that you want to change up your feed, you can actually do so by erasing all of your recommendations right now and then starting from scratch so that your feed can be refreshed. How do you do that? It's in the TikTok. Go to your account, go to settings, and then there is an option there. You can approach me later, I'll help you. Okay. And then helping our community on search intervention. So for example, if someone types in the search bar something that, let's say, anorexia, right? Then we will immediately point to resources that may help that person, and we don't show any kind of content about it. Okay. And then we also have stricter rules for our creators as well, because we also want to put on them the responsibility to create good content. And then I know this is very much a topic nowadays, so I just wanted to sort of talk a little bit about our policies on AI-generated content. So we require creators to label any AI content that they create as AI-generated content. We also do not allow any false or misleading AI-generated content on the platform. Also, we have an industry-leading partnership wherein now, even if the content is uploaded from other platforms, when they're on TikTok, it will automatically be labeled as AI-generated content. Okay, so again, we have a lot of resources, so I invite you guys to check out our community guidelines and our safety page. I also distributed booklets there for your easier reference, and again, it's really just consolidated resource for all of you to understand TikTok better. Finally, on our partnerships, we do partner with a lot of NGOs, specifically on children's safety. Sorry, next. On children's safety, on misinformation, and on digital literacy. So for the Philippines, we hold a lot of NGO consultations as well, so that we are able to really better understand the local context and understand the local Philippine setting and the Filipino user. Okay, yeah, these are our partners, and then for the next part, our Filipino collaboration. So, in a nutshell, just in time, that is TikTok and our approach to safety. So here I'd like to also add that, you know, we understand that we have a very big responsibility to keep our platform safe, and at the same time, I think it's also a shared responsibility among everyone to post responsible content, to consume content responsibly, and to help everyone ensure that, you know, the platform is really a safe place for everyone. Thank you.
Who presented interesting perspectives on engaging the citizenry. So we are going to have our open forum next, but before that, we are going to give you a 10-minute break to do your TikTok. Not just kidding. No, to do health break and some refreshments. Yeah, we'll see you in a bit.
Ayan. Are you excited for the open forum segment? Parang hindi. Hello? Hello? Ayan. Ayan. So, I would like to call on our moderator, Ms. Bernadine Mahinay, to facilitate the open forum.
So thrilled to welcome one of Probe's partner content creators, your Tita Baby, who will join us on stage for the open forum. Good morning, Tita Baby. Paano ka ba namin naging tita? Wow. So just a few reminders during this segment for the scholars at the Senate who may want to ask questions to our speakers. We encourage you to ask them live. Please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Once called, please approach any of the CBILLS staff with the mic and state your institution and name before proceeding to your question. And we have also questions naman din online. Anybody would want to start? Or yung panelist ba ang magtatanong? Ah, okay. Yeah, we have Teta over here.
Hello. Yes. My question is for Dr. Khan. Ma'am, I was a bit surprised when you showed earlier that Rappler, which like Probe, is also recognized by the International Fact-Checking Network, and whose head, Maria Ressa, and whose journalists are recognized globally, is also the least trusted news organization in the Philippines. So what strategies can we use to bridge that seeming trust gap and ensure that high-quality media practitioners are both recognized and trusted by the public? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, it's not the least. Those are the trusted media, and of the trusted media, it's the least. Which means those that did not make it on the list are not trusted. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am, for the clarification.
Well, I think one, the longevity also of the other media, and it has proven itself in terms of delivery of the news and also the wideness of the coverage. No, very limited kasi ang coverage rin ng Rappler. Also, there's a tendency for Rappler to be it can be, how do you say that more politically correct? Don't be politically correct. Don't be politically correct na sabi ng panel ko. Okay, it has certain blind spots which it refuses to report or will not report because it's not part of their in a way agenda, no? So that's why it is not as neutral as your more traditional media, such as PDI and Philstar, although they have their biases as well. No? So it really has, in Philippine media kasi, it has always been, in a way, that's been the struggle, and as Melinda pointed out earlier, the struggle of keeping the neutrality, the objectivity of all our media has been a challenge, especially with media owners, no, sometimes influencing content. The good editors, and there are many, are always on brinkmanship in terms of fighting for media freedom and their neutrality. No? So it's always been that struggle between editorial and ownership. No? And I guess it reflects also in the the public trust.
Because Rachel used the word neutrality, which also becomes problematic in terms of the tone. I mean, neutrality in a period when you have black and white polarization, then we have to say, can we be neutral? Neutrality, what we are looking for in the media is objectivity based on facts. Facts that have to be truthful. As long as you remain stuck on those, you may be advocating for one or the other in terms of your news agenda because you are directly addressing certain concerns that are alive or enlivening certain sectors. And in periods when a nation is in crisis, this is one of the objectives as well of the press, is to connect people who do not know each other but are sharing their own concerns. And that the issues that they face then are acknowledged to be larger than themselves. So, neutrality and objectivity, I think we need to make clear that for so long as their facts are correct, that they are not inventing things or slanting things or angling things, etc., to the point of misleading the actual context and the actual facts, then you can advocate. I mean, I have come from advocacy press because that was when my passions were really, really turned into something more than what I was.
Thank you. Anyone else? Attorney Abel from the Office of Senator Lapi.
Hello po. This is addressed to PIA, no? Media side na responsibility. And since we are policymakers here, no, we're also looking at yung capability building for our children. And since start na school, meron talk sa matatag curriculum and it's focusing on life skills. And since we live in an information age, no, processing information, I think it's becoming a life skill and an essential skill for our democracy. So, ang question ko is, like yung probe team, di ba, meron na silang school operations. Meron bang initiative from PIA to develop at least curriculum for processing information? Because we need to educate our children, no, forward-looking, on how to deal with information na nasasagap natin from various sources, from TV, social media, etc. Meron bang any initiative ongoing ngayon sa government into educating our children to be critical, how to weigh information, how to detect bias, para going forward, they can educate themselves better with direct access to information.
So, yes po sir, yung ating Media and Information Literacy Program po, which is the Maging Mapanuri, we will be rolling out din this po doon sa ating mga schools. So, in partnership po siya with the Presidential Communications Office and other organizations po and the Department of Education. So, currently, pinaplansya pa po yung ating mga modules for MIL program na
Classes in grades 11 and 12, plus it's also the videos that we produce were for the kids to make them aware of cyberbullying, the dangers of gaming, fact checking for their level. So nandun po yun sa #CyberReady.
Okay, anyone? Sige, while we wait for you also, baka you might have questions. We have time for questions that were posted online. This is a question for Professor Khan and also for Executive Director De Jesus. So, the cyber libel provision in our statute has been weaponized to attack journalists and silence dissent. However, there appears to be a need to establish some form of regulation against disinformation, especially in digital spaces and especially where democracy is concerned. Is legislation truly the way forward, or are there innovative practices that we can adopt here? This is a question from Attorney J, Office of Senator Ontiveros.
First off, the Constitution does not allow government to regulate freedom of expression, and under that doctrine, press freedom. Go back things. The idea being is that our society is healthy enough so that if there should be falsehood, insults, propaganda coming from government, coming from the president himself, etc., that the dynamics of exchange will correct it. Does it always happen? It does not. But I would still go with that channel of that situation, because it's better than surrendering it to the state. Because once you give it to the state, then it'll be a costumbre. It'll be the social custom. It will be acceptable for state to determine what is false, what is not false, etc. And we know that already. We've gone through that period. Maybe not some of the younger ones here, but we do recall when every newspaper was about the true, the good, and the beautiful, so to speak. So, where do we go? It's hard. It's hard. It's a challenge. Guys, we got democracy. We got to make it work, which means we are...
We also do not think legislation is the answer, because the big question is who is going to determine what is disinformation and what is not. Also, based on our experience and our fact-checking in the last 2 elections, there is such thing as state-sponsored disinformation. So, medyo malabo kung sila rin yung magre-regulate, di ba? So, I think what we really are building is media information literacy, because really in the end, it is the public, an educated and informed public, that can battle disinformation more actively and more effectively. Thanks.
You know, if I can add, and I'm going to make this short. Long time ago, Attorney Jovito Salonga said, this was in the period of 1986 through 1989, we established ourselves in 1989, and he said to me, Melinda, ang gulo-gulo ninyo. Do we need a law? Because even if the Constitution prevents it, he said, we can still pass a law. It will not, you cannot stop that if legislation decides that that is the case. And so I told him about the effort in the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility, and that this was to build a community within the press that will commit to the checking of whatever falsehood has come out, and to begin to interpret and basically say, well, the reason they are saying this, etc., etc., etc. And he said, I'm so glad, yeah, that would be the way to go. Is it successful? Not entirely, but what has been successful completely in our imperfect society? So let's be thankful for some of the gains, that there are enough of a community that actually believes in it, and that critical mass can drive the flow of national conversation.
One last thing to add. Nag-add pa rin okay, since we have our legislators in front of us, to take advantage. For the last 27, the last 30 years, we've been trying to advocate for the change of libel law from being a criminal law to being a civil law. Why? One, we do recognize that libel is a defense for those that were libeled, no? But having it as a criminal law instead of a civil law, what is happening? It is being used to intimidate and to threaten media. Why? Because even if you're completely innocent, they can charge you with libel and put you in jail and give you a bail that is not commensurate to whatever libel they're, just to threaten media. All right? While as a civil case, the case will go through without that threat. No? And it's being used, it's being weaponized against the legitimate media. And that's why we're saying that, even with cyber libel, the cyber law, it made it worse, no? Instead of making the original revised penal code turning it to a civil law, it just added more threats, to the media. So it makes our work harder. It makes the reason that sometimes a lot of things are not reported is because everybody's just on their toes, because it's being weaponized against those that want to bring out the truth.
Can we add a little bit more on self-regulation? The press in the Philippines, with the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility, and all the organizations that have helped us also be, is probably the most visible of the corrective measures. We put out on our website, which is open, all the cheers, all the jeers, all the what is wrong, all the failure to cover, all the lack of news on, etc., etc., etc. And you are free to look at it and basically be guided then and find out what are the other failures na hindi namin nakikita. Because now we have young people basically calling on us and basically saying, when are you going to take this issue up? But CMFR is small, and so we say, why don't you give us give us the file, the monitor, and then we will try to do it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, from LVRMO. Yes, Ms. Urbano.
I'd like to ask a question from Dr. Khan. I wish you would give us more tips on how to distinguish between credible versus unreliable sources of information online, especially with the alarming emergence of deepfake technology, and really be used for to spread malinformation and disinformation. And also, how do you see the future with respect to the interplay between traditional or the more of the text-based journalism versus digital media? Do you see some sort of a demise of traditional media, or will there be a complementary existence between the two in a digital age? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Yung more tips, as much as I would like to give you more tips, workshop na yun eh. It will take me, I only had 20 minutes to talk, no? I could take the whole morning or even the whole day for training for that. So, I think the more important things to remember is to check the source. No? Where did it come from? No? And normally, when you look at, for example, a certain information, you saw it on your Facebook page, you try to Google it. If it doesn't come out anywhere else, no, then you should have that big question mark. Kasi if it was legit news, ko-cover yan ng at least 3 or 4 media organizations. Pero kung hindi lumabas sa kahit na ano, no, so for example, I think there was this thing on Maine Mendoza before, which was totally fake. So, yung mga ganong news, no, i-google mo lang. Kung walang lumabas, that's already an initial ano. But the deepfakes and all, that's workshop na po yan. Yes. And then the second question you were saying, the traditional media, it's not going to go anywhere. I think we need it because that is your foundation for information. The difference between traditional media and new media is traditional media, there's vetting. No? And why is that important? Hindi lang isang tao, hindi lang isang mata ang nagja-judgment call dun sa kung balita ba yan o hindi. No, it goes through layers. So I would say that we should still trust traditional media more than the digital media, no matter how credible or how like this vlogger or this blog, pero isa lang siya eh. See, he could be right, he could be wrong, but when you have traditional media, you have a whole team looking at that news to verify whether it's truth or not. So you have a better chance of getting truthful information from traditional media. Besides, the skills are the same. The skills that a journalist has in traditional media will be the same skills. It's just it's the vetting that is lost.
I'd like to add as well, I think on TikTok's end, we also partner with a lot of news publications, Enquirer, ABS, Star, all of them. We give them training because they each have their own account on our platform, and we really try to empower that account to make sure that our users also have access to verified news and information. So I think it's TikTok is just another platform for traditional media to be able to really tell the story. Yeah.
All right, thank you. We'll squeeze in another question online. This is for TikTok. Ms. Bea Bautista from John Ray of the House of Representatives. His question is legislators who utilize TikTok are often viewed as frivolous. How can they change this perception given that TikTok and other social media sites are effective tools in engaging the public on important policy issues such as the divorce bill?
That's a very interesting question. Thank you. So I think from before, maybe 3 years ago, TikTok was just known for dance videos, right? Like people just dancing, whatever. But I think now the platform has really evolved. We have so many creators like Tita Baby here, like Makoy Dubs, even Mighty Magulang, who are really using the platform to educate about their advocacies, right? So it's not anymore just about dancing videos. There's a lot more on the platform now. So I think the perception that TikTok is frivolous maybe stems from what people used to perceive TikTok as 3 years ago, but I think the platform has evolved. Now, when talking about what kind of content is on TikTok, and specifically how can you communicate what you want to communicate effectively, I think when you look at TikTok as well, it's a short form video platform, right? So content, let's say that you make for Facebook, maybe for Instagram, it's very different from content that you will make on Facebook. So you have to understand your audience as well. TikTok, of course, primarily, as I saw earlier, is primarily used by Gen Z, millennials. And I think when creating content, you just have to understand the audience that you're trying to talk to. So it's not so much that it is frivolous, but perhaps you just change the format. Maybe instead of doing like a 10-minute vlog, right, you can do a 1-minute explanation or a 2-minute explanation. So it's really more on just remembering that when you're talking to your audience, as in any marketing or advertising campaign, you have to know what your audience, how your audience consumes the content, what they want to hear, and what is the most effective way for them to understand it. Yeah.
Ms. Jen?
I'd also like to point out na for media organizations who are active on these social media platforms, hindi namin yun ginagawa for clout chasing lang or para makipagkompetensya lang sa ibang creators. It's because wala nang espasyo for longer reports. A good case study would be documentaries of Probe. In the past, we would air sa ABS-CBN, yun nga, 11:30 p.m. Pero at least, di ba, meron tayong time slot hanggang sa unti-unti ng hindi nako-consider na mahalagang part ng programming yung mga documentaries because of ratings, hindi mapasukan ng commercial, at sabi nila ayaw daw ng audience ng seryosong topic. So, because we want to continue doing our work, wala kaming choice kundi mag-post ng mga gawa namin sa Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Pati yung mga reels na yan, pinasok na rin namin para lang hindi ma-monopolize ng iba yung space para makapag-usap-usap tayo. So, meron kayong pwedeng gawin. You can write existing media organizations and demand for documentaries, demand for more investigative reports para mapakinggan nila na meron pang demand for that. Yun, thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Nakapagkape na ba kayong lahat? Okay, I'd just like to dovetail on what Jen and Bea mentioned, about TikTok being frivolous. So the word frivolous is actually very perceptive-based. Diba? Pwedeng I can see TikTok as frivolous, and then some can see it as informative. And I've been in TikTok for a few years already, and I can vouch for how TikTok has actually evolved from something that's just purely entertainment, puro sayaw-sayaw lang, na ginawa ko rin nun, to the point na ngayon na I'm actually educating people already. So, I just like to, I was scanning the room, and I think we are all in one generation. No? Gen Z?
Agree. Gen A.
So, we are the ones who didn't grow up with technology. Diba? We grew up in high school and college learning about technology. So we have this a certain perception about how platforms are. Whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tayo yung generation na pag nakita, ay ayoko yan, nabaduy ng TikTok. But the young ones don't see it that way. So what I'd like to say is, we all have to be mindful of how we perceive the platforms. Kasi baka tayo na lang ang nakatingin dun sa platform saying na, ay, puro entertainment yan. But all the people that you need to influence are already there. You get where I'm coming from? So be careful. No, ako rin, I'm guilty with this. Kasi sometimes pag nakita rin ako ng bagong platform, let's say Threads, is a new platform that is connected to Instagram. Ako parang, oh my God, hindi pa nga ako marunong magsaing, aaralin ko na naman to. Diba? So, we have to have an open mind on how platforms behave and the audience in it. So we can maximize and the power of the tool. No? Tayo kasing matatanda, usually pag sasabi, naku, ayoko yung bago eh. Di ba tayo mga matatanda dyan, Pag tumingin ng platform, parang, ay, pambagets yan, ayoko dyan. But if you want to talk to the generation that is actually going to run the planet, a few decades from now, you have to be there and understand it. So tama, sa 2025, balota, 7 po, 7.
Iboto.
Charot lang, baka iboto nyo ako, hindi ho totoo yun. Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you, your Tita Baby. Okay, we have a question from Ms. Georgie Codilla of the Journal Service.
Follow up lang kay Tita Baby. Kasi hindi kasi ako wala akong TikTok. Meron siguro pero
after this,
nagamit.
magkakaroon ka na.
So, seeing how, after this, I'd like to know the background of Tita Baby and to know if how much she earns from it. If she is...
Huwag mong basihan sa outfit ko ngayon. Medyo...
If she gets fulfillment from doing these things for Probe in particular, and whether she does other contents aside from partnering with Probe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your very personal question. And I appreciate the question. Thank you so much. Okay, first and foremost, just to give context, I'm 46. And I started doing drag 7 years ago. So if you know your math, that's 22. No, that's 39. So during my younger years, from my professional years in advertising, as an entrepreneur, as a people development practitioner, and all that, I fell back into what I really love when I used to be a young gay boy, which is entertainment, theater, arts, music, movies, film, the glamour of it all, and also the hard work that's behind it. So, baka kayo makarelate, di ba? Some of us have lived many lives already. You tried to be one thing, and then pwede kayo nagsimula magpanaderya, hindi nag-work. Di nagtalyer kayo. Di ba? Tapos, hindi nag-work. Di ba? Di ba? O, tama mo? Correct? Correct? O, agree. Di ba? So, we lived so many lives, and you know what? I'm going to, sasabihin nyo, tita, sagutin mo yung tanong. May iyak ka na. Wala pa ako sa makapagbagbag damdamin. You know, I realized when you go back to your individual truths, your individual truths, you will actually succeed in all aspects of your human form, your spiritual form, your mental form, your physical form, and your emotional form, because you are living your truth. Dun ko ngayon nakita si Jen. Because when Jen came to me and talked to me about, you know, we want to partner with social media content creators, and we want to parang fight for truth in storytelling, truth in the media, truth in news. And I was like, alam mo, if we can talk about the truth in both aspects of as an individual and as a society, ako naniniwala ako, so as a people development person nga, practitioner, we are going to be the better versions of ourselves every year as we live as a society. Asa na tayo ngayon, ladies and gentlemen? Diba? So parang nilalakasan ko na lang rin ang loob ko actually as to partner with Probe to really fight for what is totoo lang. Kaya yun yung title ng series namin, yung totoo lang. Diba? So, kung sa kinikita ko, tayo mapunta, don't be fooled by the rocks that I've got, no? Eto, bato to sa atay. Mahilig ako. Pwede nyo gawin sing-sing yun pala. No, in terms of economics, I really like to parang say that we are in an era where the LGBTQI community has a voice already. I grew up in a time na it's either your boy, girl, bakla, tomboy. Aba, rainbow pala yun. Diba? Pwede ka pala, spectrum pala siya. And sa dami ng taong nakasalimuha ko, at in different part of the spectrum, I'm starting to actually respect the fact na oo nga, iba-iba tayo ng hilig, ng interest, ng passion, at saka pati the way we express ourselves in terms of gender identity. So, ngayon, having said that, being a drag queen is already becoming a serious profession. Before, I do freelance work for like corporations and teach them about essential skills like communication, leadership, kemerot, ganon. Kemerot, nasa libro yun, kemerot. Q yun, baka hinahanap nyo sa K. Nasa Q siya. So, and now, I'm actually putting all my expertise together to create a personality who is Tita Baby, earn from it, creating purpose in my drag. Diba? I have to be, modesty aside, I'm one of the few drag queens who can speak and is in a different lane on her own. I am here in the building of the Senate. Sinong bakla ang pumasok? Well, debatable yan, ano? Drag queen na lang para qualified. Drag queen na lang para safe. Ang makakapagsabi, nakapasok siya sa Senate and to talk to distinguished people like yourselves. Diba? And now I'm earning from that, not because si Jen bibigyan ako ng honorarium mamaya, ano? Hindi naman yon. But aside from this, brands are actually understanding what drag is, what the LGBTQIA+ community is talking about. they're starting to understand it. So now, there are brands that are actually partnered with me, diba, in creating a more holistic space in the market. So, pinagkakitaan ko na siya. Hindi na nga ako nagte-training ngayon kasi parang, ay, busy ako. No, wala na akong oras dyan. 2 oras ako mag-makeup. Sorry. Thank you, next. Ganon. So, if you know anyone who's like, I mean, wala na to sa topic natin, ito, mahadera ka kasi. If you know anyone who's like interested in drag and who does drag, or even family members who are in the LGBTQIA community, look into them and try to empathize, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Thank you for your question very much. Thank you.
Yan. Thank you, Tita Baby. So, malamang after this, magka-create na ng account si Director Georgie. Tapos, ifa-follow niya ikaw. Ako, ifa-follow din kita. Tapos, magda-dance number tayo doon. We have Comsec Jamie. Question for the panel?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. This is just a follow-up question on deepfake technology on malinformation and disinformation, because we know that technology moves at a faster rate than traditional media, and that's why we have all these challenges on these information disorders. So my question would be, how does traditional media catch up with the new media and this deepfake? Kasi earlier, Miss Jennifer Aquino mentioned na it's harder to fake videos. But with the deepfake, it's really difficult to check whether that personality has indeed said this. So going forward, Ma'am Melinda De Jesus mentioned earlier that we look at the source, but our problem is, how do we inform the public what is the credible source? Because in the past few elections, I've had some serious discussions with people who are into Facebook, and they get their information on Facebook. And they were saying, this is a credible source. And we said, that's not a credible source. So how do we inform the public? Because we're assuming that you know the source, you know what a credible source is. But what if it's a state-sponsored? There was a mention earlier of that. So how do we find the credible source? How do we inform the public that this is a credible source, so that even if the public is faced with these deepfakes, because as technology evolves, mas nagiging sophisticated din yung fake, the authenticity of the video itself is no longer, it blurs the line between what is credible and what is fake. And sorry, I have a series of questions. And since we did these fact checks, ma'am, may we know if there was like an assessment made that because we're doing this, have we made an impact, or like with all these fact checks, with these different programs, have we made a dent in informing the public na hindi agad maniniwala dun sa mga news na somewhat shady? And yun. Yes, and then for the schools po, last question would be, there was a mention earlier that there was a gap between teaching dun sa curriculum for our journalists. Kasi I noticed before, because of the new media, na-liberalize yung flow of public information. So ordinary people are now empowered to post and make it news. Kasi di ba there was an engagement with the public na Bayan Patrol or something. So parang na-empower without really understanding the responsibilities of what a good, the elements of a good media earlier presented. So how do we build that, bridge that gap? Was there an initiative, ma'am, for CMFR Probe or other media practitioners to sit down and talk with our, with our SUCs to revamp the curriculum at school. Kasi there was also like parang elitism involved because they would say, okay lang yung marunong ng good element, so kailan pwede mag-report. Kasi may ganung mindset dun sa public na we don't need the traditional media because we can produce content and make it, credible. So yung mga ganon, ayun. Thank you.
Changing times. Kasi ang Probes also started as a legacy media because ang main platform ay TV for the longest year. I think since 2014, regularly airing kami sa TV network. So, may conscious effort to create an online version of that brand, of that show. Thus, the Probe website and now our Facebook page. We're very, very active on Facebook. But I'd also like to raise then that many news organizations, ABS-CBN, I think GMA, then TV5, also they have fact-checking units, and many of these are already signatories then of the IFCN. Yung ABS-CBN approve lang sa kanila. And may consortium nga, so magkakasama din yung mga traditional media sa check.ph. So tulong-tulong kami para solusyonan yung spread of disinformation through long reports, monitoring, labanan yung disinformation. Lumabas na tayo, mag-leave na tayo sa mga Viber groups na puro fake news ang pinag-uusapan. Yung ating mga kasama na mas matatanda sa atin, lolo, lola, tito, tita, tulungan natin silang mabago yung algorithm ng pages nila. I-unfollow nila yung mga suspicious pages. Kasi once that they start liking talaga, di ba? Hindi lang kung saang murang leche flan sila makaka-order, ano yung mga ukay-ukay na pwede, pero mapupuntahan na rin nila yung mga nag-spread ng fake news. So I think it starts at home, in circle of friends. Yun talaga yung first few steps para labanan yung disinformation.
You ask about terms of impact, no? Sa tingin namin, fact-checking by itself, kulang pa siya talaga sa impact in terms of actually influencing the citizenry. However, having said that, isipin namin, ang fact-checking per se nag-umpisa po sa 2019 dito sa Pilipinas. Dinala namin dito nung after our international exposure sa Singapore, ng Probe and other media organizations. Doon namin nakita kung nakailangan ng fact-checking. And 2019, when you say that word, it's a non-existent terminology. It was, nobody could understand what we were saying, including our fellow media practitioners. No? So, ang unang impact siguro ay ngayon, everybody's aware that there is such a thing. At medyo bago tayo, at least most of the public, kahit na nabobola pa rin ng ng false information, at least meron silang awareness na, ay, dapat namin itong i-fact check. Diba? So, hindi na siya alien word. So, in that sense, may triumph na kami na the creation of awareness na hindi dapat tayo maniwala kagad. Okay, so, first level of success. Ang second level of success siguro nga is to improve the MIL education in the country, which is why individually and together, we have been producing materials to help teachers. Kasi nga, ang nangyari, nung in-implement ang DepEd, ang MIL, hindi naman prepared po ang mga SUC sa mga eskwelahan, mga high school. Kaya sino ang linagay nilang MIL? Doon sa aming study sa MASCOM po, nakita namin sino ang nalagay? Yung PE teacher, yung math teacher. Sabi na, teka lang, paano sila naman bakit sila magtuturo MIL? Wala silang kinalaman sa media at literacy, di ba? So hopefully they're now also employing those with journalism background or yung mga nagtapos ng MASCOM man lang para at least may konting pagkakaintindi sa MIL. Pero yun na nga, yung mga initial teachers niyo po ay taga-PE. Kaya talagang, huwag na tayo umasang tama yung tinuturo nila, di ba? Kaya binibigyan na namin ng materials. Ang UP Mascom po, sa Journalism Department, meron kaming Media and Information Literacy Channel. Tignan nyo po, star-studded po yan. Nandyan po si Howie Severino, si Cara David, si Maris Umali, si Karen Davila, lahat yan nandyan. All of them giving lectures on specific media information literacy aspects, including fact-checking. Naalala ko po, yung nagtatanong sa akin ng training, bisitahin niyo po yung aming YouTube page. Nandun po yung training ng basic fact-checking, basic image verification, so makita niyo kung pictures are real or not. So lahat ng mga basic training na gusto naming matutunan ng mga MIL teachers, nandun po. May 20-minute or less videos dun sa UP Journalism Department channel sa YouTube. So that's what we're trying to go for long term. We're trying to influence the curriculum kasi that's the only place that nakikita namin na the future of fighting false information.
I can just add a little bit on TikTok. So I mentioned earlier that we have our community guidelines, and misinformation, regardless of intent, meaning that covers both misinformation and disinformation, is removed on our platform if it will contribute or result to real-world harm, both societal and physical. At the same time, we also partner with fact-checking. We have fact-checking partners, as mentioned, and we also do a lot of consultations locally and globally. And finally, I also wanted to just say that we have a reporting tool. So if you see any sort of content that you think promotes harmful misinformation, please report it. Of course, and we will take it down if it violates our community guidelines. So I think, as Ms. Jennifer said and as Dr. Rachel said, it's also very much a shared responsibility wherein we should educate ourselves and educate the people around us, and also educate yourself on the platform. So TikTok also has a lot of resources, a lot of tools that you can use so that you can understand the platform more, maybe even guide your children when using the platform. And finally, TikTok is again very open to collaborations with local organizations. So if you guys on this panel would like to connect later, please just let me know as well, and anybody here in the audience.
Thank you. Seriously, people, you want to know about when you are getting the real stuff. And by real, we're saying verification. It went through a process of checking the balita that it is giving. So what do? You go to the established news organizations that have hired journalists who are educated and got engaged in the process even before they graduated, who are manned by editors, who went through the ladder up all to the point at which they then said, you're good enough, you're going to go and check every single story. Not that he or she visibly checks every single thing, but that it went through a process. And if these editors were like the editors of the old that basically said, kulang pang storya mo, itatapon sa newsroom, nabagsak na yung ano, nagalit na siya, etc. And you will never want to do a partially verified story ever in your life again. But guys, it's really up to you to make that decision. You know the news organizations, they are all online and they will have their TikTok news as well. But you will have had to make the decision yourself to identify who these sources are. Now, there are content creators. Some of them are former journalists. Yun ang uunahin ninyong tignan. Ha? sorry, kailangan merong konting napagdaanan na doon sa experience na tinitignan muna niya yung katotohanan ng sasabihin niya at siya ay magkokomentaryo o magdadagdag pa doon sa balita para lumaki yung truthfulness of that particular development na gusto niyang i-discuss. Radio, teleradio, all of these we are so rich in terms of information sources and news sources. You should go to some countries where they have come from, like the primitives, caves, and balita is still exciting. But here we are, with this proliferation, this richness, and we need to match that naman with our own search. What is it? We too should care about how much truth there is, especially in political information, because that is the primary reason the press is protected, to create a citizenry who, given knowledge and information that has been checked, will be able to decide who should lead us in partly 2025 and the next milestone. Let's think about this and let's take it seriously, because let's not waste it. It's a wonderful thing that we have. And we should not be distracted, because there is so much more that's exciting. And I know, Tita Baby, if it's part of it, if this is part of it, it'll even get richer pa. But let's agree that as a community that has gone through this, morning of exchange, that we will come out of this basically saying, I'm going to do my part, I'm going to check, and all those around me, we will do the same thing, and that is how you build an informed and knowledgeable community.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very, very good, gentle reminder for all of us, especially us in legislation. So we also have a question from the House of Representatives, Attorney Naring.
I would like to ask for the reaction from our TikTok representatives. Sa totoo lang, naapektuhan din kami nung mga balita about who is the real owner of TikTok, that it was, it's being used as to spy the Philippines because it originates from China, and also whether or not this news is, or whether it's fake news or news, that it's being banned in the US. So sorry if it's that, I don't know if it's personal, but I believe it will also erase some prejudices or biases against TikTok. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. ByteDance, so TikTok's parent company is ByteDance, and ByteDance was founded by Chinese entrepreneurs, but today it is a global company. So 40% of ByteDance, 60% of ByteDance is owned by global investment firms, and then 20% is owned by the founders, and 20% is owned by the employees, and these employees include Filipinos. Okay, so right now, TikTok is not owned or controlled by China. TikTok is it's not a Chinese company, and it has no relation to the Chinese Communist Party or the Chinese government. Is it banned in the US? There was a bill that was passed, right? And I believe Senator Biden signed it into law. I don't know the specifics, but right now, I think that the TikTok team in the US is fighting against the allegations. Yeah.
All right.
Did that
thank
answer
you.
your question? Any other questions?
Thank you, Attorney Naring, and thank you, Bea. We have a question for Professor Rachel. For Ms. Jennifer, and also for ED De Jesus. Do you think that content creator and bloggers are a threat to our traditional media? And what is your reaction that in reality, sila pa ang mas malalaking kumita compared sa mga journalist natin na mas magagaling naman talaga at nakapag-aral pa? Thank you. Palagay ko. Bakit?
Teka lang, sandali
Hanapin nga natin, sino nga ba itong anonymous? Kasi
Personalan
hindi naman
pala to.
Dr. Khan?
Loaded yung tanong, Actually, masithreaten lang ang traditional media if they do not keep up. No? And I think our traditional media is precisely doing that. They realize that each platform has a different audience. And therefore, any media organization will want to be in all platforms regardless of yun na nga, yung kahit na originally sila print, for example, meron na silang website at magkakaroon yan and they're moving towards TikTok. No? So for example, in my recent business reporting class, no, we had guest speakers from the business editorial. So business to, so it's really more technical than most news. Pero ang pinag-usapan namin at we developed with the students, okay, dahil ito yung mga Gen Z, yung mga estudyante ko, paano nyo i-translate itong balita na to, for example, yung pagtaas ng presyo ng Meralco or etc., into a TikTok na you maintain, so we judge the students' work based on, kasama ko yung mga editors mag-judge, based on the accuracy of the news and the delivery on TikTok. Nagagawa nila. Alright? So of course, not as complete as a print. So hopefully, giving the taste of TikTok information, they will want to know more and go back to the traditional media to gain more insight. Pero we have to already recognize that. Kaya sa tingin ko, hindi siya threat unless magpaiwan ka sa technology. And, you know, I don't think naman if you're a big media organization, you'd allow that to happen to you.
Para sa Probe, kasi isa kami sa mga media organizations na may malaking partnership with content creators. Unang-una, we realized that, yun nga, it's as if we're fighting for space with these content creators. Pero wala na kaming magagawa doon kasi ginagawa lang din naman nila yung trabaho nila. For them, it's livelihood, their passion, etc. So anong pwede namin gawin? Imbes na mainis or mainggit or gawin silang kaaway, that's why we thought of the partnership. Kasi naniniwala kami na meron namang aayos at mabubuting content creators. We'd like to reiterate also na we're not trying to force these content creators to be journalists. Magkahiwalay pa rin, there is a very clear line sa trabaho ng journalists at content creators. Journalists will be journalists because we are accountable, we study this, we cover the news, and tagapagbantay kami ng impormasyon, di ba? At hindi namin yun ipinapasa sa mga content creators. Pero may content creators, katulad ni Tita Baby, na may shared advocacy, may shared experiences. Yung series ni Tita Baby, it covers about social issues na siya mismo ang naka-experience dahil napagdaanan. Alam niya yung tungkol sa martial law, alam niya tungkol sa mga issues na yon, and hindi niya kailangan pikein o gamitan ng script yung content na yon. What we do is we help the content become more polished, more easily digested by users in online platforms, so it has to be short. And also, we're proud to say that the content creators we worked with underwent training with us. So together with Verifiles, Philstar, Press One, and may isa pa, Minda News, at nag-training sa mga content creators para hindi lang basahin yung script. Madalas din tinatanong ito ng mga tao sa Probe whenever I talk about our campaign. There's no compensation involved between the partnership. Yes, we pay for their food and their gas. I think that's only basic. But we really cannot afford the talent fees of these content creators, especially the ones who has millions of followers. Maliit na organisasyon lang ang Probe. So, tumaya lang kami doon sa malay natin. Gusto rin naman pala nila tong advocacy. So, we're very proud of that partnership.
Okay, so coming from my perspective as a content creator, no, I think it's valid to mention that the partnership between Probe and myself and the other content creators that Probe is partnered with, we are. I'd like to see it as we are the the icing on the cake, diba? We are the tone of voice. That, for example, in my case, a tita who is mahadera maldita, nangungurot pag nagsisinungaling ka, pag mababa ang grades mo sa school, di ba? Pero kukonsintihin ka sa inuman. Yung mga ganon, meron siyang character, and that creates the tone of voice which translates the news that is not chosen by the audience anymore to consume. Okay? So, unlike before, inabutan ko yung time na ilan lang ang channel. Tapos alas 7 ng gabi, lahat yung news. Pare-pareho ang sinasabi. It is only fed to us. Di ba? Pero ngayon, it is the audience who chooses what they consume. Now, I'd like to see my role in what Probe is doing is just to create a tone of voice that the audience can relate to. Para mas mataas yung chances for the audience to choose the news, that content. You know, hindi ako lumalabas at nagjo-jorno-jorno ako doon. So, magkano ang income nyo, madam? Walang ganon. Everything that the production, our output, goes through the process. Oh, it goes through the process. So, ang haba ng proseso, to be honest, no? Kasi parang, di ba? May pre-prod, okay, parang okay, hindi sasabihin ni Tita Baby yan, pwede ba natin gawin ganito? Sige, tignan natin, tanungin natin kay attorney, libelous ba yan? Yung mga ganon. It goes through a rigorous process. And if you go through the content that, well, at least I make, no, or what we make, there's a shift in tone when nagpapatawa ako and when I say something factual. So I think that's a skill that I guess some of us have as content creators, no? It's just like, hindi lahat ng politiko magaling, di ba? Ganon din ang content creators. Hindi lahat ng content creators, malaki ang kita, frivolous, and all that. So, tama yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Melinda, you have to, I think what we need to learn is to critically think. Diba? If you have critical thinking, kahit na anong i-feed sa'yo, protektado ka from what you're consuming. I think yun yung kailangan nating i-espouse as individuals and start at homes with your children and with your loved ones and with your friends. Kasi I won't know if I can speak on behalf of the journalists here, no? But we can only do so much in warning everybody. But if sa bahay nyo, you do not practice what should be practiced in your profession, sayang lang din, di ba? So I think it's a work for all of us. It's not just on our end or your end. No? So yon. Tama naman sinabi ko dyan, di ba?
Sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
Just to the question of the threat to journalists, as soon as social media broke out, journalists said, we are no longer on top of the game. So that was what? How long ago? So it's been a period of transition for the media and the people who are working in the news sections of the media to validate bakit narito pa tayo. And it is up to the public now to validate that as well. Because nawala na po talaga ng time and space given to this in every person's daily schedule. Dati-dati, nagda-drive ka yung radyo mo, nakaano sa news, nakapako doon, etc. And so all of that has been taken away, and the unity and the glue of news that is given to society, that we all know the same thing, that's taken out already. Journalists saw that right away and saw it, and basically I think enrollments in journalism schools have probably gone elsewhere. Okay, so it is, to my mind, a societal issue that we have to confront. If we are not sharing in the same source of information, not the same source, but the source, okay, not the brand of the news organization. If we do not and are not sharing in the truth, the interpretation of what is true and what is false, then we are in trouble, and that is why we are in trouble. And the whole polarization of society has come to that be why? Because governments with their propaganda, naunahan po tayo doon sa game. Ginamit nila. Hindi natin alam kung ano yung nangyayari. Nangyari na. So yun yung ating kailangan ngayon pagdesisyonan kung paano natin yun i-recover. Hindi for journalism. Maybe there will be other things developing. Maybe it will not be primarily journalists or what we call journalists. Maybe it will be some other form of truth-telling that we will have in our midst. Sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Jen, anything more to add?
We also talked about impact kanina, and I think it's nice to share din na probe. Sabi nyo nga kanina, you know of probe kasi nakalakihan ninyo, you know of probe nga. Before we became very, very active sa social media, ang aming following ay nasa 70%, 45 years old to 54 years old. When we started working with content creators, now 60% of our followers are 18 years old to 24 years old. If you go to our page, we post heavily about social issues, the West Philippine Seas, inflation, hunger, poverty. And for them to see those kind of content, malaking panalo na yun sa amin. So, I think that's impact pa rin, kahit maliit lang.
Yes, Tita
Last
Baby.
point. Hindi ako papatalo sa Jen. Kailangan ko malang masabi. Charot. Kasi, di ba, dun sa question parang, content creators are earning more, wherein journalists who are more educated, more equipped, and has more expertise in news making is now not earning as much as they probably hope or used to be. Ako, ang thought ko lang is, then it is a reflection of what's happening already. Diba? Hindi naman kami nagdesisyon nun eh. Na mas malaking kinikita namin. Or hindi ko alam kung totoo din yon. Diba? Pwede namang hindi. But I'm going with the perspective of the one who asked the question. Para sa akin parang, okay, so salamin, diba? Nananalamin ka, reflection na yon. Kung ano nangyayari ngayon is a reflection of what is transpiring. Ang question ko dyan sa nagtanong na yan, kung sino man siya, no? Charot. Is, what do we do now? So, what now? Kung gano'n na nga ang katotohanan, what now? Diba? So, I think there are more creative ways. Feeling ko, it's just, it's just a matter of finding a solution on how to solve that problem. And we haven't gotten there yet. I think the journalists and the experts who are here in this panel are trying to create and find solutions to actually address that. No, na hindi yung uneducated, quote-unquote, people are the ones creating the narrative and owning it. Diba? It's yun lang yung katotohanan ngayon. So the question is, what now?
All right. Thank you, Tita Baby.
Just one
yes,
to add, just
Professor
to make people also aware, no? It's not always, while yes, a lot of it has to do with the audience, kasi in the end, it is the public that determines what their sources of information will be. But apart from if everything being equal, no, that sana the public sphere was an equal area of battle. Unfortunately, we also have to consider there's such a thing as algorithm deceit. no, where certain disinformers or those that have agendas to really manipulate public opinion, provide disinformation, they also have financial support from certain sectors in our society na kunyari nung minomonitor namin yung mga kunyari YouTube channels nung eleksyon, biglang overnight nagkaroon sila ng 50,000 subscribers, di ba? It is not the normal curve of any YouTube channel. Ibig sabihin, bayad yung mga subscribers or yung mga bayad, mga troll pinapunta doon. Now, is that a problem? Yes, not because of yung binayaran nilang trolls, but the influence it does on the algorithm. Kasi pag na-tweak mo yung algorithm because of the number of subscribers or the number of views that increase, piti yung sa mga Facebook pages nyo, yung mga social media sites nyo, dahil mataas ang algorithm nila, yun naman yung finifeed ng social media sa mga news feeds ninyo. No? So baka ang hindi nyo nakikita dahil mas mababa yung audience ng traditional media, ng legacy media, ng totoo, ng mga totoong balita, yung pa yung nadadali ng mga algorithms na dinaya. No? So the only way to do that, really, to fight that on a personal level is to actually subscribe to the correct channels so that hindi siya maalis sa algorithms nyo. Kasi kung minsan-minsan lang kayo dumadaan, pwede siyang malunod ng mga bayad.
Yes. Bea?
I just wanted to add to what Dr. Rachel said. So the behavior that she described, we call it coordinated inauthentic behavior, and it is really designed by bad actors to sway influence on the platform. So again, this is against our community guidelines, and we take enforcement against these kinds of networks. So I think aside from what our technology can pick up, again, and I would like to emphasize, if you see something that seems wrong, please report it so that we will also be made aware of it.
All right, thank you. We have a question for PIA. Sir, what is the government doing now to balance technological advancements and the social protection and privacy of the citizens? Do we have any programs? What is the government doing now to balance technological advancements and the social protection and privacy of the citizens?
Yes po. Currently, we don't have specific programs for that, but we are continuously po implementing our development communications programs. Siguro po mas nako-cover na rin po yung problems when it comes to for that particular topic po.
And this is a question for each of our panelists. How do we maximize the influence of media or press in encouraging public participation to have informed decisions or opinions on policy issues? Dr. Khan?
Siguro the first thing is that sana ma-cover kayo ng media, especially mga public hearings. No? And if it's not being covered, then, because there are normally very few, for example, before I was only one covering the entire house, di ba, nung nasa Congress ako. So parang I can't be in 3 or 4 hearings at the same time. And especially now that dahil nga natatalo yung traditional media, they have less people also covering. So one way of doing it is to first have your own team that does documentation so that at least this information can be given to media so that if they miss out because they were covering a more hot issue somewhere. But kasi sometimes also what is a hot issue is relative, di ba? So, meanwhile, yung inyong bill na napaka-importante din, no? Especially those dealing with finance, no? Those dealing with the budget. Minsan yung pa yung because it's complex, because it has a lot of numbers. Minsan yung pa masyadong technical, yun pa yung hindi nako-cover. I would really suggest that you come up with press releases that outline what happened in the hearings. It does help the journalists in covering it and to see what were the highlights of the hearings. Then we can also, in that way, through the media, inform the public. Then also have your own social media pages that talk about the hearing, not just the picture of the congressman or the senator who was heading the meeting at nagpa-grandstanding lang siya doon. Please, yung laman po nung hearing, ilabas nyo din. Yung mga key points ng discussion. So that the public can also hear it from the original source. Yun lang yung ma-suggest ko. Thank you.
My suggestion for PIA to air as much as possible all the hearings that can be aired. And it should just fill up the time, basically with highlights in terms of itong issue, ito yung amendment na i-discuss, ano ang palagay ninyo. Very simple questions like that will engage the public already. The citizen will go in there not just to watch who's who, what's what said, but also for him or her to be engaged in the policy formation itself. I do not think we pay attention enough to what is going on, to what they are doing. They've been elected to do certain things, and we want to know if they're doing it and how they're participating in every kind of policy discussion. If the audience is not interested, then who cares? They won't care. Our political culture, let's face it, you go and get into an office, it is not for public service primarily. It'll be for about a lot of other things. And that is for the press to try and discover what nga, bakit sila tumakbo, para saan at para sa ano. And therefore, the voters should know and get back to it. But I think the PIA and our entire public service component in government should become like the BBC. It should become the standard bearing for what government is doing and get citizens to critique, to respond, to interpret, to engage, maybe make it all better.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes po. For the side of the government, under the Presidential Communications Office po, we have different government media agencies. So part lang po ang Philippine Information Agency, which ang focus po talaga namin is the grassroots. And other government media agencies po under the PCO, we have the People's Television Network, the Philippine Broadcasting Service which houses the Radio Pilipinas, the radio platform po of the government. So, doon po sa iba't ibang media organizations po under the PCO, may kanya-kanya po kaming focus. At nako-cover naman po ng other media organizations po, yung mga, for example, Senate hearings.
Yes.
Yan po.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah.
I think on my end, I will just answer for TikTok. I think a lot of times we're wary of things because we don't understand them, be it a platform or a product or whatever. So I would suggest to people to really try and understand TikTok. Like, explore the platform, look at what it does, look at what kind of content is there, and try to understand how the platform works and how you can use it for your own advocacies for a positive outcome. And of course, TikTok is here as well to offer any training to those who would like that, just to basically see what the platform is about and how to use it. So I think for me, just learn about the platform, understand the platform, learn how to use it too. Yeah.
Thank you, Bea. Ms. Jan?
I've mentioned this during my talk kanina na we are digitizing 14,000 tapes of Philippine history coverage and stories that matter. So we'd be happy to open it to our friends in the Senate and the House of Representatives if you need to know more about the work that we do, some of the stories before kasi paulit-ulit lang naman kasi we'd also like to hear from you also. Pwede naman magtulungan. Again, it's about collaborative work anyway. And sana din yung mga Senate offices, actually lahat ng government offices, yung kanilang online platform, sana they would focus more on becoming active on those channels. I think as a journalist myself, problema pa rin namin yung pagpapadala ng sulat for interview requests na matagal yung feedback. I think meron akong mga sulat na pinadala when I was a starting PA, when I was a PA before na hanggang ngayon hindi na nila ako binalikan. So, importante yon sa amin para ma-cover din kayo and of course para marinig yung side ng government.
Thank you, Jan. Tita Baby?
Okay, from a perspective of content creator, no, I think to engagement is a big word for us, di ba? Kasi it's the hearts, it's the comments, it's the sharing, there is a certain language that each platform actually uses in terms of behavior, human behavior. TikTok is very different from Instagram. Instagram is very different from Facebook. For us to engage the audience, we have to understand how, I'm agreeing with what you said, no? You have to understand how the platform works, and of course, the audience in that platform. No, we can, parang ano yan eh, in advertising and marketing, para kang lumalabas, tapos inaalam mo how they behave, para pagbalik mo, meron kang insight. I think yun ang kailangan. Insight, sino ba itong mga gusto natin kausapin? What makes them tick? What makes them interested? Why are content creators such big influencers? Ano yung best practices nila? I don't know, I'm not suggesting this, but I'm sure there are values, behaviors, and ideas there that you can incorporate into news and public affairs or whatever, just to create interest. Kahit yun lang muna. Kasi I think the young ones are not interested anymore as much as they are in entertainment and in, Beanie, di ba? So, yun, I think there's a treasure trove of information from the audience themselves that we need to look at and consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Tita Baby. Yan. So, Senate, huwag tayo magdi-disable ng comments. Just kidding. Para malaman natin yung feedback. Ibalik ang comments. I think we have a final question to all our panelists. So, overall, what are your policy insights or reforms that would promote free and balanced information for a more genuine citizen participation in this digital age? Policy insights.
In terms of legislation, let me just sana supportahan nyo yung paglipat ng libel law from criminal to civil. Kasi mas makaka-engage talaga yon. Kasi yung threat, yung weaponizing against media, mawawala. No? Talagang yung we can have information freely out there. So that's one. It's been a 30-year struggle. Second suggestion, as I said earlier, inform po, have at least highlights, kahit na po points lang of what happened during the hearing so that people know what's going on. At least they know where a source that they can go to, not just when it's all done, it's not just the bills that have been filed, no, but the hearings that had gone on and what went on in it. So that we just don't hear, sound bites all the time. Yun lang po from my end.
Thank you, Dr. Khan.
Ayun po. Sa part po ng PIA in terms of legislation, sana po ay madagdagan pa ang budget ng Philippine Information Agency. So, marami po kaming ideas, marami po kaming development communication programs na naiisip, pero hindi po namin ito talagang ma-fully implement sa ating bansa because sobrang kulang po talaga ng budget po ng Philippine Information Agency. In terms din po sa workforce, yun po, sana madagdagan din po yung aming permanent positions since, for example, sa regions po, iilan lang po kami ang nagtatrabaho for example, Calabarzon, napakalaking area po niya, 5 provinces. Pero po, ang tao lang po doon ay nasa 15. So, medyo mahirap po talaga na marireach yung ating grassroots. Kung ganun lang po kalimited yung ating workforce. So, yun lang po for the part of the Philippine Information Agency.
Right.
I
Thank
will
you.
support first the decriminalization of libel. That is a real threat. I worked in 1983 to 1989 in Veritas News Weekly, and the elder statesman, journalist person that I worked under, Felix Bautista, would say to me, do not stay in the office late on Friday, Mel, because that's when they pick up on a libel charge. Why? Because you can't post bail. They want you to stay overnight in jail, and you would have to stay through the following day. And to me, to be in a profession that has that hanging over your head is an insult, I think. An insult to the institution and to the community. Why? Because you're treating us as criminals for offenses that may be offenses, regarded as offense, because there is a law against libel, but we do know that defamation has been weaponized in so much of the history of our country. I will also support the greater budget for PIA because we were working with an international partner. Joe Torres was a journalist, so we knew him. I called him and I said, I need a fact book. I need a list of all the media institutions that are still in operation after the pandemic. Wala kaming ganun. Ibig sabihin, wala silang budget. So basic inventory, inalis nyo pa dun sa agency na dapat siyang tumitingin dito sa bagay na ito. So yes, if you can bring home that, tell Joe, I plugged it for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Bea.
I think, there are a lot of misconceptions still about TikTok. And we are very much readily available to, explain whatever you'd like us to explain. We're very much available to talk about our ownership. We're very much available to show you our commitment to user privacy, safety, security, and just let us know because we're just here. And we also share, we share this shared goal of really keeping the platform safe for all Filipinos. So we're very open to working with everyone. Just let us know.
Thank you, Ms. Jen. If you're interested to have fact-checking workshops to know more about our fight against disinformation, kasi kailangan yung mga platforms ninyo, like how you disseminate news, kailangan, number one, factual talaga yan. So, siguro yun, kailangan, sana ma-secure din. Kung paano namin pinoprotektahan yung truth, sana kayo din. Pangalawa, kung kailangan nyo ng tulong to know more about this kind of work, para sa inyo, sa mga staff ninyo, at kung may mga ibang programs na pwedeng pasukan ng fact-checking, kasi hindi lang naman to exclusive sa amin. Nasabi na kanina that there are media organizations doing a lot of work on this. So please do not hesitate to reach out so we can work together. Yun lang for me kasi marami na rin nasabi tungkol dun sa libel, so sana yun din ma-prioritize. Tita Baby?
Agree po ako. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That wraps up our open forum, and the discussions were very, very insightful. And as much as we would like to entertain all questions for today's lecture, it will not be possible due to time constraints. So I'll now give the floor back to our host, Nina.
We would like to ask everyone to kindly key in your takeaways for today's lecture. So you can access the Menti through the QR code on your table, or you may use the link provided in your Viber communities. Please input one word per entry only. So while everyone is sending in their key takeaways from today's lecture, the program team will be sharing on screen the real-time responses that you posted through Menti. So let's see. Okay, so I can see truth, true information, check the source. That's the top 3 key takeaways from our lecture discussion for today. And again, our favorite ComSec, we would like to call you to provide a short synthesis of today's lecture.
As I think we expect our sources of information to provide us with accurate details of or accurate information, it's very good to note that and a very good gentle reminder for all of us that we also have that accountability to check and double check what is being fed to us, or what is being given to us and what is presented to us. So, in other words, we still have that. We can discern din naman and find out also for ourselves, and hindi lang natin iaasa dun sa sources natin, because we can verify these things that are presented to us or these things that we discover. So, that being said, we would like to thank our panel. It's an honor for the CBILLS group to have you here with us this morning.
To our speakers and panel discussants for today. So we would like to call on our very own director, Gilbert Lumantao, to give our tokens of appreciation to our resource persons. So I will call the name of our resource persons one by one, and kindly at the front of our table, from our one of government agencies, the PIA Calabarzon. And then, of course, we have Executive Director Melinda De Jesus from the CMFR. Miss Bea Bautista from TikTok. And then we have Miss Jennifer Aquino from Probe. And of course, our favorite tita, your tita baby. Ayan. we'll have a group photo of all the resource persons with our Director Lumantao. Ay, of course. We cannot forget to give the token to our ComSec, Bernadine Mahinay. Ayan. Thank you all for gracing our event. So we would like to ask again everyone to pose for our photo opportunity.
Up to siguro for the information of our resource persons, in our learning courses abroad, we also give those tokens, and it comes with an explanation where it comes from and all. So this time around, walang ganun, you know. So on behalf of the Development Academy of the Philippines, we want to express our gratitude to all our CBILLS scholars, especially those who have been with us since this year's first episode of the lecture series. We are particularly thankful to our partners from the Senate and the House of the Representatives, whose support is crucial to the success of our CBILLS activities. We also extend our thanks to all agencies, organizations, of course our resource speakers, especially now, and our moderators who have generously contributed their time and expertise in ensuring that we deliver thought-provoking, insightful discussions this year. In this year's lecture series, we conducted 3 face-to-face lectures on social, political, and economic issues with alternating venues. So we started with the House of Representatives, then we did one at the DEP, and now we are doing here at the Senate. So we've done this before online, now we're doing it face-to-face. We emphasize in this year's series, our theme is anchoring sustainable Philippine development in the pillars of innovative and participatory governance. We emphasize the crucial role of innovation and multi-stakeholder collaboration in strengthening government efficiency, transparency, and accountability, aimed at promoting transformative and inclusive policymaking to support a better, resilient, and sustainable future for Filipinos. Just a quick rundown. In our first episode, we talked about we laid the foundation of the dynamics of democracy, political institutions, and sustainable development. Here, we reflected on the global challenges faced by the democracies and emphasized the need for improvements in the Philippines, including better development plans, legal reforms, and increased collaboration among stakeholders. In the second lecture, last June, it was reiterated that effective governance, as emphasized by SDG 16, requires transparent, accountable, and inclusive institutions. The event featured the Department of Budget and Management, Open Government Partnership, and the Commission on Audit Citizens Participatory Audit as case studies. In today's lecture, we heard all our resource persons talk about media as a very powerful tool that can empower citizens to participate in socio-economic activities and discourses. However, there are obvious challenges, there are pressing challenges that need to be addressed in order to harness more meaningful and genuine citizen participation. Information literacy plays an important role in making this happen. With all this, lectures discussing global and national issues, we hope that they merit rethinking perspectives to solicit innovative and appropriate policy insight from all of you, our scholars. And with this, it is my delight to conclude this year's Thursday Talks, this year's lecture series, and we thank you all for your support and participation in the three discussions that we conducted this year. Thank you so much.
Right? You may find this on the DOP YouTube channel, or you may access the lectures through the CBILLS website at cbills.dap.edu.ph, including our latest publications and upcoming activities. The CBILLS program will also hold its inaugural conference in October, a platform for scholars to showcase the fruit of their dedication and hard work during their respective legislative training courses. As we close our Thursday Talk series for 2024, we would like to thank again our invited resource persons, our FB and DAP YouTube live viewers, and of course, all of you, our CBILLS scholars who are here today. We would also like to thank our colleagues at the Development Academy of the Philippines, the Senate of the Philippines for hosting this lecture, and of course, the House of Representatives for facilitating the transportation of our scholars from the House to be safe here at the Senate at a very early call time. So thank you to our partners. And that concludes the lecture series with today's event, The Future of Truth, Navigating the Digital Age for Meaningful Participation. So this is your host, Nina, saying thank you for your participation and see you again at the conference on October. Thank you and stay safe, everyone. Okay na?